Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I am Ryan from Gun Cody, and we have something from David Hogg here, and he is going to be doing a live stream with these people called White Dudes for Kamala, and I can only imagine what kind of fun this is going to be. So we are going to live stream the live stream and maybe provide some commentary and see what this ridiculous is about. And it looks like we got about 3 minutes before the live stream starts. So we will be back very shortly, just as soon as that begins. All right, here we go, guys. Let the fun begin. We have the stereotypical white dude here with his. All right, here we go, guys. Let the fun begin. Is that a man bun? Oh yeah, yeah. We can sure hear you. Well, let's see how this joke unfolds for a few minutes as it's getting off to a little bit of a slow start.
Are on the White Dudes for Harris Zoom call that we've been pushing out. I want to start by saying, just thank you so much for being here. Before we launch into everything, I've got a couple of quick housekeeping things for folks. If you RSVP'd for the call, there's an email in your inbox that tells you how to join. Please forward to any friends that you know who might have also signed up. We know there was a little bit of
There's no
confusion
way I
about
would
this, of
actually
course.
want
We
to be
just
on
want to
this
make
call
sure everybody
with
gets
these
it.
guys. Look at this guy.
I also know that a bunch of folks might not have seen the email, so if you can also tweet, text, send along a Facebook link. The URL for this is whitedudesforharris.com. Again, that's whitedudesforharris.com. We just want to make sure everyone has a chance to tune in. This has really truly been a really humbling experience for me, especially when we first started thinking about doing this, which was actually Tuesday night. Our initial goal was going to be 10,000 RSVPs and about $500,000 raised for the campaign. As of right now, we're at about 140,000 people who have RSVP'd for this, and we're at over $1 million in donations to the Harris for President campaign. So it's just truly, truly humbling to see this. You know, so just thank you. Thank you to everyone that's on. Thank you to everyone that signed up. Thank you to everyone who's donated. Thank you to everyone who's going to donate. Um, I really want to kick this off, though, by starting to thank Joteka Edie and all of the organizers with the Win with Black Women call. They organized the first of these calls. They had over 40,000 people on it and raised over $1 million to the campaign. They're the inspiration for what we're doing here right now, and they deserve our thanks. They deserve our appreciation. They deserve our gratitude for leading the way with both grace and integrity. And for those of you who don't know me, which I assume is actually most of you, my name is Ross Morales Arquetto. I've been working in politics now for about 20 years. I'm originally hail from the great state of Texas, so shout out to everyone who's from Texas. My name is Ross Morales Arquetto. Watching with friends, so first I do want to say hi to mom and dad. Um, Over the last few years, I've been thinking a lot about men. I've been thinking about the unique challenges that
I bet he has been
men
thinking a
face,
lot about men.
thinking
Look at
about
him.
how those challenges all often turn into violent or destructive behavior, either towards themselves or other people. But honestly, most of all, and most days, I think about a very close friend from my childhood who went down a really dark path that ultimately led to him committing suicide. And I think about his story a lot, how it should have turned out differently. And that's part of the reason why I care so deeply about this work. Um, you know, as we've been going around talking about this, I have a lot of questions from folks about why are we doing
Hey,
this
chat.
now?
Let me know what the hell that has to do with Kamala
I want to
Harris.
start by really addressing the elephant in the room, which is a lot of people feel and felt uncomfortable about the call. And I think that's understandably so. Throughout American history, when white men have organized, it was often with pointy hats on. And so I think that discomfort, I think the skepticism is
Are
understandable.
you serious,
But the
bro?
reason that we are doing
It's
this is
usually
because
it was
we've
mostly white pointy hats on. Come
been
on now.
fighting white men to the MAGA right for way, way too long. Trump won over 60% of white men in both 2016 and 2020.
Oh
And
God,
that's
evil white
enough
dudes.
tonight because we know that the silent majority of white men aren't actually MAGA supporters. They're folks like you who just want a better life for their families. They want more economic security. They want better health care. They want better schools. there's a crisis of loneliness in this country, and many of us are the ones that feel the most lonely. Men represent 75% of all deaths of despair, like suicide and substance abuse. And
I wonder why that is.
economy has changed over the years, has left a lot of really hardworking folks who are trying to do right by their families behind. And that happens at the same time as the myths around America that we grew up with, that we as men are expected to be protectors and providers, are going out into economy that doesn't really allow for that, especially for working class folks. And sort of like compounding on that, masculinity as a trope has been co-opted by the MAGA right into something that feeds into
ESJ,
and
welcome to the
exacerbates the
channel, buddy.
loneliness
Glad you're here to
epidemic,
join us, and
as well as the
looking
mental
forward to
health
what you have to
crisis
say
that
about
many
this.
face that end up leading to really destructive behaviors. We aren't the only ones that are hurt by these things. Black and brown people, LGBTQIA plus people, especially trans women and indigenous people, and all sorts of other folks in
I
our
think we've
country
gotten our fill of the whole
disproportionately
trans
and
thing with the
often
Paris
seen
Olympics.
marginalized and being hurt, demonized, and marginalized even further. So, these people are our friends, they're our neighbors, they're our partners, but even if they weren't, they're just like our fellow human beings. And that should be enough for every single one of us on this call. So we created this space to listen. We want to learn, be inspired, and then get engaged. Throughout the call, we'll be making a ton of asks, financial and volunteer. As I said at the top, all the proceeds from your donations will go straight to the Harris for President campaign. And if you look in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see a donate button. If you scroll down below the
I
link,
have an ask too. Since we're a Second Amendment
donate buttons, and together
focused
we're
group,
all going to make
we
this
ask if you have
happen.
any 2A questions, send us an email, support@guncounty.com.
Asian and South Asian woman and the first woman president. She can win. She's ready. And she needs literally every single one of us to do our part to make that happen. So just being very clear, we need a lot of white dudes to sign up and knock on doors, be on calls like this. But tonight, right now, what we need for folks is to be able to give money. The link is in the bio. The link to
We
donate
don't
is
like white
on
dudes,
the
but we
right.
like your money.
You can also buy a hat and you can give. You can give until it feels good, and then you should give until it hurts a little bit, and then keep giving until it feels good again. And with that sort of opener, I'm really
Um,
honored to
Shaman,
introduce
you're watching the gayest thing since the Paris Olympics opener.
friend and collaborator over the years, someone for whom I have an immense amount of respect. He has so much integrity and strength of character. I'd like to introduce Maurice Mitchell, who's the director of the Working Families Party, to give us a little bit of a different perspective on why it's so important for us to be organizing. Maurice, kick it off.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Ross. And good evening. I'm Maurice Mitchell. I'm the National Director of the Working Families Party. It is a true pleasure to be with all of you tonight. And I'm calling you from the Mets game because, as many of you know, the work of a dad never ends. And I want to address the obvious. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I am not a white man. Yet, here I am
No
opening
shit,
up the
bro.
White Dudes for Kamala call, and stranger things have happened. But let me explain why I'm on this call. At the Working Families Party, we believe in this crazy idea that in a democracy, the people
If
should
Democrats
govern,
are
not the wealthy and
the
well-connected.
Working Families Party
And
or the Communist
that
Party.
means being in dialogue with people just like you. And I represent millions of our members who come from all ethnicities, including a lot of white dudes. And being from Long Island, I grew up, I befriended, and I
Today, white dudes, you are appreciated by the Democratic Party, if only for your wallets.
just like many of you on the call. And one thing I know for certain is that across many of our differences, and we have many differences, so many of us want the same things. We want good schools for our children, good paying jobs, affordable homes. And while we may argue even loudly over things like sports, so many of us are on the same side. And here's the thing, white nationalists in MAGA, they want to speak for you specifically as white men. And I get it as part of the vast majority of white men that are not a part of that extremist movement that has turned into a cult, you're focusing on your life. You're doing good in your personal life and doing no harm out in the world, and that could feel like enough. But in
God
these
obviously knows a
times,
lot about white people.
silently disagreeing is not enough. When elected officials and internet trolls like Congressman Tim Burchett call Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, a DEI hire,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Fox Business
They got
contributor
a
and father
non-white
of
dude
four,
on the white people
Alec
call. What's
Lace,
up?
calls the VP, and I quote, the original Haktua girl, or when JD Vance says things like, oh, she's a childless cat lady, or when Trump says she's as dumb as a rock, your silence signals agreement.
I'm sure he's going to have a lot of advice for you, Shaman.
People engaging with her record and policy proposals, not a discourse rooted in racism and sexism. So, so don't allow this fringe cult to speak for you and poison the well. This is your time to stand up for not just the VP, not just for Kamala Harris, but for democracy, for community, and for family. And I'm not saying you have to agree with 100% of her policy positions, but
I'm probably not
can
going to agree
still
with any of her
engage,
policy
be
positions.
curious, and
Zero.
ask questions in the spirit of solidarity as you are in motion with all of us who are seeking a better democracy. And not just solidarity for her, but solidarity for all the people who stand to lose if MAGA wins, and all the people who, with you, can build a fairer, more compassionate, more prosperous, more democratic country and world if VP Harris wins. I'm inviting you all to get in formation with the pro-democracy forces uniting against fascism and uniting across all differences, a coalition that includes Black men and women. And
Yo, Shaman, I was in the Marine Corps too, and you're like peak
and labor unions
of
and
being
people
the
like
worst
me
white
who
dude
want an
because of
arms
that.
embargo to stop the war in Gaza, and people like me who care deeply about public safety and police accountability, and people like others who want to protect reproductive rights, and everybody of good conscience in between. There's so many people, so many issues, so many identities coming together like never before. And now is your time. Joining this coalition is important for two reasons. One, on the other side is right-wing authoritarianism. It's Project 2025, a road for things like weaponizing the federal government against those who oppose the extremist agenda, stripping away workers' rights, reproductive rights, and voting rights. The second reason, white men are a massive part of the electorate.
Yeah, Devil Dog.
A few percentage points can be the difference between having a democracy or not. Joe Biden won 32% of white men. What if we get that number to 35, to 40, or even more? When you remain silent, they win. One day, we all will be asked what we did to stop this MAGA movement. What will your answer be? I know what mine will be.
Black dude asking a white dude to help stop white dudes.
And those like me in stopping this movement. So this is your time. This is your calling. Volunteer for the Harris campaign. Donate now. Let's get above of whatever the goal is. Don't wait for the end of this call. Don't even wait for the end of my remarks. Donate now. Join the thousands of men on this call, the millions of people in this country who are already in formation.
If you donate to these guys, you probably are going to lose your white privilege card. Just saying.
This is our time. Get involved, donate, volunteer. Over the next 100 days, let's get to victory. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. Shit, I'm feeling inspired. Are you feeling inspired? If you are,
I'm feeling hatred for that man bun.
just slam the donate or volunteer button. We've already raised about $1 million since we've been on this call, which is absolutely crazy. Let's see if we can get
Bro,
to
there's no way
1.5
you've raised $1
million.
million in 5
Let's
minutes.
do it as
I
soon
don't
as we
believe
can. Up next, we have another speaker, and when we found out that this next dude was joining, our organizing team collectively all kind of lost their minds. He's won or been nominated for Academy, Golden Globe, Screen Actors Guild, BAFTA, Emmy Awards. But even if he never won anything,
I have
you'd still
another
be
word for
excited
it,
as
Shaman, but
hell
I don't think I can
because you
say it
know
on
him, you
YouTube.
love him, the dude in chief, Jeff Bridges.
The dude in chief. Here we go. Are you excited for the dude in chief? Look at this guy. Can't even hear him. He's done fucked up the call.
Unmute my. Am I there? I can't
This
hear
is a
myself,
fucking
but
train
that's
wreck.
okay.
We can hear you.
Oh yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. Good. So great to be here, Ross. I gotta laugh because I accepted the invitation. You know, I was brought to the party not so much as being white, and I certainly am, but because I'm a
shit.
dude. You know, so
Oh.
a friend sent me this email today with your hat on there, and I said, "Oh, I gotta have one of those. I qualify, man. I'm white. I'm a dude, and I'm for Harris." So wonderful to be here. And I dug what you said, Maurice.
And you're senile.
That's really, terrific. The fact that you're here, you're a black man here with us white guys.
Hell yeah.
I had no
Hell
idea.
yeah. White dudes for Harris got their token black dude on the stream.
Based on what? Black women for Harris, right? And so it kind of morphed into white men, white dudes for Harris. And I'm excited, man. I think, the fact that Joe has passed the baton so beautifully, and Kamala is just so certainly our girl. I can see her being president. I'm so excited. A woman president, man. How exciting! And her
Gary
championing
Busey
of
would have been a great
women's
choice.
rights. For that, and for all her stance on the environment, and taking care of our children. All of her leadership on
We'll
that
take care of your children by
wonderful,
making
and something
late-term
that I can get
abortion legal
behind and
everywhere.
support.
That way you don't have to worry about
And
it. You won't
so
have any.
thank you, Ross, and you guys who are responsible for kicking on this channel to give me a chance to express my support. I'm really excited to be a part of this. And the word fight, I watched Kamala's speech there, just before getting on the call. She ended, fight. God, I can't. That's the thing. I can't relate to that. I just went through a health crisis, and I remember the doctor coming up to me and say, "You got to fight. You got to fight." I said, "What are you talking about,
Yeah, this
man?
stream's giving
I'm in
me a health
surrender
crisis
mode
too.
here.
It's called cancer.
I'm going with the flow, what life has in store." And I feel that with this, with what we're all up to right now, that it's not so much a fight, but it's a surrender to our higher thoughts of how we want this future to turn out. And so I'm kind of surrendering to it, as opposed to fighting to it. But that's just, that's just my approach. As the dude might say, that's just my opinion, man, But great to be with you guys.
Jeff, thank you so much for being on.
I wish you'd invest in a fucking tripod
This is a
for his
very cool
camera.
moment. So thank you for being on. Our next guest really doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to do it anyway. He's
The
the
stream
former
just
mayor of
got
South Bend,
lamer
Indiana.
and
You can
gayer.
thank him for making it so the
Look at
airlines
that.
have to refund your money after they mess up. He's also the internet's favorite candidate for VP, one of the brightest stars in the Democratic Party. We've got Pete Buttigieg with us.
Hey, thanks so much. I'm really excited to be with you all.
No way we can do a white dudes for Trump, man. They'd totally take that down for being racist right off the bat. We probably get a channel strike and everything. But I'm with you. Somebody should do it. Maybe we can do it on X. We can get away with it there. We'll do a white dudes for Trump call.
Truth that no matter how much you believe in your policies, so much of politics is just vibes. Having said that, the vibes right now are incredible. My husband Shasta and I were home over the weekend and stopped by a canvas kickoff in Michigan at the Traverse City field office close to our house. I haven't seen that kind of energy for Democrats in Michigan since I was campaigning in the midterms for leaders like Gretchen Whitmer, and we all know how that turned out. The momentum is extraordinary, and we got so many great speakers tonight, and not a lot of time. So I really just want to stress one thing.
100, Shaman. We'll keep you posted.
And that is, as we work to keep up our energy and spread it to everybody we know, especially over the roller coaster of the next 100 days, there's a real chance right now, I think, to be driven not just by what we're up against, but by what we believe in and what we're for, not just what we're trying to stop, which we all know how important that is,
For gayness,
but by what
lameness,
we're working
and
to
communism.
sustain. Look, Donald Trump's unfitness for office is clear, and no one is better positioned to prosecute that case than Kamala Harris. And you can see that his campaign is flailing, he's reverting to his worst instincts. His choice of running mate in J.D. Vance is evidence that he's doubling down on the very worst of it, from the anti-woman rhetoric to this deep entanglement with Project 2025. But for all of that, what's really filling my sails right now, and what I think Kamala Harris is expressing so well,
I bet his sales get filled all the time.
It's a reminder of what we are for, namely freedom. I'm so glad she has made freedom the theme of her campaign, because I think in so many ways that's what's at stake. And yes, women's freedom is Exhibit A after Donald Trump demolished the right to choose. But of course, men are also more free.
He turned that
in a country
back
where
to
we
the
have
states instead of it being a federal mandate, so the states can make their own decisions.
Men are more free when the leader of the free world and the leader of this country supports access to birth control and to IVF. And certainly men like me and my husband are more free when we have a president who supports our freedom to get married to who we love. And it goes
so we can buy some kids and make them gay and lame.
Defending and building on the Affordable Care Act makes us more free, because more people are free from worrying that the next health crisis could destroy their entire livelihood. Doubling down on the climate wins and the Inflation Reduction Act, the most significant climate policy by any government in human history, means that our children will be more likely to be free from the worst effects of climate change. Common sense gun safety rules mean that they have a better chance of being free from fear.
There's no such thing as a common sense gun safety rule. You protect kids at school by making schools hard targets, not by banning guns. Fucking moron.
To join a union is a big deal. The economic freedoms that come from having good infrastructure and getting good paying jobs building it, that matters a lot. And even more deeply, I think the work that we're collectively doing right now on having a better democracy should be powerfully motivating.
We're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic.
And to every part of our coalition, including the dudes on this call, including the proposed reforms to the Supreme Court that the president and vice president unveiled today. These are things that remind me that we're not just trying to stop our democracy from being undermined, although we're definitely working to do that. We are working to
undermine
it, you mean? More perfect. But we're making it better. So to my way of thinking, it's less so that we are saving our democracy and more that we are building one. And that's what we're part of. And that's definitely something as a father that I'm excited about being able to tell my kids when they're old enough to ask Chasten and me what we did in this incredibly important, really decisive decade in American history, that we came together to make sure that there was a good outcome, and supporting Kamala Harris is a huge, huge part of that. So thank you to everybody for being part of this. And I'm really excited for what we are going to deliver.
Yeah, yes, no joke. Democracy defended by a nominee nobody voted for, who's incompetent, who's a complete moron, and got her start by being a high-end escort.
And I think that last point is really like the most salient one, is we're not just against shit, we're for stuff too. As I'm saying that, I'm also seeing a note from Reid Hoffman, who is the founder of LinkedIn. He has just let us know that he's willing to match the next $50,000 that we get raised. This is extremely cool because he's actually already maxed out his contributions to the campaign, but he was so excited for this that he's going to contribute $50,000 to an organization that is exclusively working to elect the vice president. So keep going. He's going to match our contributions. And with that, we're going to introduce our next speaker, who I'm personally a huge fan of.
I can't wait.
Have been for a while.
Who is it?
I'd like to introduce 2-time Emmy Award nominee, 5-time Grammy Award nominee, one of the most incredible voices in the world, someone whose voice and face you'll probably recognize, Josh Groban.
Who the hell is Josh Groban? Look, this dude's not turned his fucking microphone
there I am.
on.
Hi, everybody. I am so honored to be here. Speaking is not the thing I normally
That's why
do,
they have.
but to be a
That's
part
why
of this
Democrats are
incredible.
all about having black-only spaces and Asian-only spaces and gay-only spaces. All this shit. It's because they love segregation. They have for a long, long time. Look at history.
As a musician, I have the great privilege, beyond the other privileges that I've had in my life, to be able to have all different kinds of people come into an audience, to be able to travel the country, to travel the world, to meet people, to hear their concerns, to be able to unite people through the power of music. And it's sometimes a little bit of a scary thing to step out politically
I still
sometimes,
don't know who
because
you are,
people,
dude.
they'll flood your DMs with hate, and you're going to lose half your audience and all that stuff. But the thing that I am always drawn to, and the thing that I've grown up, and the person that Jack and Lindy Groban, who I think are watching, raised, um, has to step out when unity, that very unity that I cherish in being able to perform, is at risk in the country that I also live in.
But what
And
do you
when I
perform? Oh,
look to
you're
my
in a
left and
not-free
to my
country?
right, my friends, and
Are you not in America?
there is a real age-old drum that is being
These are the kind of people that went around and kissed minorities' feet and apologized to them for something they were never involved in.
really simple, and it's based on fear. And it is this idea that to to celebrate the beauty of our similarities and the beauty of our differences is somehow a scary thing. That somehow equality and prosperity are not mutually exclusive. And that when we talk about the fact, especially as a white guy, where it is so much easier sometimes to lean into the idea that, well, I'm going to be quiet about who, I'm just a support. I'm going to, I don't have to go out of my way. When the world has been built for you, uh, to say that
The world's not been built by me, man.
Black Lives Matter,
For me. I've had to get
on
everything
the
I
right,
have with hard work, sweat, and
the
tears.
idea that it doesn't mean that other lives don't matter. It simply means that it has been too easy to ignore the struggles of that community, to support the love and the rights of the LGBTQIA plus community does not mean
The plus stands for
that
pedos.
straight relationships do not matter. It simply means it has been too easy to ignore the struggles and the bigotry against those communities. And so it's easy to assume somebody else will step up. It's always easy, especially in the entertainment industry, to say, I'm going to step back. I am proud to raise my hand and to say that this is something that I believe so fully in. I'm so excited by the galvanizing of the Harris campaign. And I'm so grateful every single day to the people in my life and in the marginalized communities that educate me every single day, that this is a constant education for all of us. And so thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. And thank you for this amazing coalition. And if you're watching, do the right thing and donate. And thank you so much for having me.
You heard Josh. Don't keep donating. Since we first kicked off the match, I think we're getting pretty close to hitting the $50,000 from Reid Hoffman. So please keep going. And also,
I think your
dudes,
donation
take a
numbers are
second,
completely made
send
up.
this link to your friends, ask them to join, whitedudesforharris.com. And with that, we're just going to go right to our next speaker. Governor Roy Cooper was first elected North Carolina's governor in a tough election in 2016 and is serving his second term in office. I've also
what
heard
the hell has
rumors he
happened
might
to you,
be
North
contention
Carolina?
to be VP. Governor Cooper has also fought for working people since his first day in office, issuing executive orders that prohibit workplace discrimination and establish paid parental leave for over 56,000 state employees. Governor Cooper helped combat the opioid crisis in his state by working across party lines He launched the first
He has.
opioid action
Have you
plan in
been to a major city in
2017.
North Carolina?
And as a result, prescriptions have dropped by 24%. Emergency rooms for opioid misuse have declined by 10%, and opioid-related deaths have decreased by 5%. And with that, I'd like to introduce Governor Roy Cooper.
Introduction's too long. Hey guys, welcome from North Carolina. Hey, come for basketball, come for hockey, come for NASCAR, come for golf. We are ready for it. We have the best state in the country, and you're welcome to visit anytime. I'm going to get right to it, guys. Real men respect women, their decisions, their careers, and it's pretty clear
What are you getting
that
at?
Donald Trump and J.D. Vance don't.
How?
From
Tell me how.
Trump's sexual assaults to Vance's misogynistic comments, it's pretty clear that disrespect of women permeates Donald Trump land and MAGA Republicans. And in fact, it's like that all over the country. In North Carolina, we have a Republican nominee named Mark Robinson, who's running for governor. I'm term limited. Our Democratic nominee is Josh Stein, who's the Attorney General, whom I've endorsed. Donald Trump endorsed Mark Robinson. And in fact, he said publicly that he thought Mark Robinson, who is a Black Republican, is better than Martin Luther King Jr., and that he was Martin Luther King times two.
No
Here
way.
are some of the horrible things that Mark Robinson has said, which I think he's saying the not so quiet part out loud for MAGA Republicans. He has said that men should lead, not women. That when God needed someone to fight Goliath, he called David and not Davida.
Yeah, that's right, Sean. Most women I know
has said
hate other
that
women.
once women get pregnant, that it's not their body anymore. He has said that
no, it's not
women
that it's not their body. It's not just their body
enough
anymore.
to keep their skirts down are having abortions. That's the kind of disrespect of women that we see.
Remember, kids,
with
abortion clinics
many
intentionally target minorities.
Particularly in their
Don't
leaders.
believe me? Look it up.
You've seen it with congressional leaders who have called Vice President Harris a DEI candidate. You're talking about a woman who was a great prosecutor, who got elected by the people of California to serve as the chief law enforcement officer and attorney general of the state, who got elected by the entire state of California.
Who locked up a bunch of black dudes for marijuana.
Represent them in the United States Senate, and who has been vice president of the United States for the last 3.5 years. A DEI candidate?
Yes.
Here's what they're saying: that women and people of color don't deserve to lead.
Wrong. Idiots don't deserve to lead.
We know better than that, guys. We know that this country needs Kamala Harris more than ever right now. And we can hold the key. Now, I'm not the political scientist or the pollsters, but I know enough to know, and I've seen enough polling results or outcomes in elections to know that if white males would vote 1% to 2% more for Democrats than they usually do, then we win this race. We win Kamala Harris's race. We win Democratic races in North Carolina. So this is a call to action. Kamala Harris is a strong woman, but she's going to run this country in a way
that she's more than just one
cares
woman.
about
She's
the pocketbook issues. She's going to work for tax credits for children and for the middle class and not for billionaires. She's going to work to clean our environment. She's going to work to make sure that people have health care and quality education.
Or do
That's
what her
the kind of
handlers
person
tell her
that
to
we
do.
need. So here's what I tell you guys. Be unafraid. Be unafraid to go and talk with your friends about the importance of this race, the importance of electing Kamala Harris as president, and the importance to our country. I know we all love our country, and now we can show it by getting to work. Thanks a lot. Keep giving, keep working. See you soon.
Thank you, Governor Cooper. And we all need to do what he just said, which is go out and talk to our friends, talk to our neighbors, talk to our family members. A really
Do what you're
quick
told, the
update,
Democrat
we're
way.
now at over $2.5 million raised so far on
Bullshit.
this call, and we just got a note saying we have another match in. Director and producer J.J. Abrams just told us that he's willing to give a $50,000 match. So let's go. Let's get that money in. Let's see if we can raise another $500,000 in the next 30 minutes. Let's go, y'all. And now for our next guest, we have an incredible actor.
Yeah, she's got some
somebody
real good
who
references.
Understands what it means to be in the West Wing because he was actually in the West Wing. And whether or not they admit it, he's also a person who's inspired hundreds of folks to go into politics. I know that because personally, I'm not ashamed to say that I'm one of them. Of course, I'm talking about Bradley Whitford from Handmaid's Tale and Transparent to Billy Madison. This guy only knows how to play iconic roles. But of course, to us, his most iconic role is his Emmy Award-winning role as Deputy Chief of Staff Joss Lyman in The West Wing. He's also distinguished himself as an incredible activist, sitting on the board of Let America Vote. He's also worked tirelessly on behalf of so many issues, especially environmental issues. It's my pleasure to introduce one of my favorite actors, Bradley Whitford.
Thank you. Thank you, Ross. What a variety of whiteness we have here.
I
We
hated
got the
this dude in The
we got
Handmaid's Tale,
Pete.
too.
It's like a rainbow of beige. Yeah, I'm trying to I guess I thank you for what you said about West Wing. I think yeah, we're really trying to stay out of The Handmaid's Tale. Look, I have been active. I'm from Wisconsin. I've been active in
I can't remember this guy's name. The only time I've ever seen him was in The Handmaid's Tale, and he was one of the dominating men in there. You know, he was one of the bad guys that was abusing women and stuff. You know.
I want us to enjoy it, but because I'm from Wisconsin, I'm really paranoid. We only have 100 days. Okay, we have to do more than a Zoom. We have to do more than donate beyond whatever we can donate. We need to get to work. And in all this euphoria, I want to remind us, maybe we're tied in the polls. Biden won the popular vote by 5% last time, but he only won by 40,000 votes in the swing states because of the ridiculous electoral college
Did he?
Situation.
Oh yeah.
40,000
I'm sorry, there's
votes. I
electoral
remember
college, so you
we
can't have
thought in
mob rule.
Wisconsin that there would be a margin of at least 100,000. I think it was 20,000. This is so far from a sure thing. And we have to seize this moment. And I just want to say that we need to channel our enthusiasm to galvanize. I know this is what the White Dudes organization is doing. Other organizations, the Wisconsin Dems are incredible. They're battle tested at this, but we need to focus on the swing states. So I ask you all, in addition to whatever you're doing here, focus on the swing states. Speaking of white dudes, the Pod Save America guys have a great, very easy way called Vote Save America for you to get involved. I keep saying over the last 8 years, if there is a God, she's a terrible writer.
Yeah, you're right, Sean, but it sure does stink like bitch in here, doesn't it?
I have not been able to, if I walked into the West Wing writer's room and said, okay, this is going to be our Republican candidate, a felon, an adjudicated rapist, let alone, with the tan and the hair, it would have been seen, as condescending. I guess the new talking point is they're weirdos. Yeah, they want to spy on us. You know, when we talk to our doctors, they're banning our books. They're spewing this hatred, this division. And I think all of us are here to say, enough. I want to accentuate the fact that we need to keep a woman's right to make her own decisions about her body out front. I think, as Mayor Pete was saying, it is the most effective spear on the overall message that I love that the Kamala campaign is putting out there, that Democrats are the party of freedom. Republicans,
Are
for
they?
no reason, have had that for a long
They're the party of freedom. The ones that always want to take your
uh,
rights away. They're the party of freedom,
The
people.
Democrats are the party of freedom. We are the party of reproductive freedom, economic freedom, the freedom from fear that our children are going to be shot in schools, and
We'll stop kids
the
being killed
fundamental
by
freedom
taking
to
guns
continue to
away
live
because
on a
guns are
planet
bad.
that is going to be inhabitable for generations to come. And if there's anything that the last 8 years has taught us, it's that we don't just get a democracy. You got to make it every damn day. I think Kamala is showing us all a future worth fighting for. And she has the experience to make it happen. Again, we have the perfect candidate at the perfect moment. So please give whatever you can. Let's give her the campaign that our future deserves. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Bradley.
Hey,
All right,
Jotek,
up next we
believe
have
me,
Mayor
dude.
Mitch.
Nobody that's voting for Trump is afraid of this woman or Democrats at this point. We all know that she's a token candidate. There's no way she can realistically win. Come on, man.
The Biden administration, where he advised the president as a senior advisor for infrastructure, helping to craft and implement the Build Back Better and other initiatives. Mayor Landrieu is also the co-chair of the Harris for President campaign. All right, Mr. Mayor, take it away.
You guys, thank you so much. And it's great to be with all of you. Thank you for letting me share a bit with you. I won't repeat the policy matters that Mayor Pete talked about or Governor Roy, but let me just say a couple things. I'm from Louisiana. I'm from the Deep South. What we have been witnessing with Trump and Trumpism is really the manifestation of a couple of ideas that have been with us since the beginning of our country, which reared its head during the Civil War and over the course of history has percolated, but it never made its way.
Wait a minute. Is he starting to make talking points that are about the Democratic Party by calling Republicans that?
Where it had the power of the presidency behind us. I think all of you know now, as you listen to the words that are being spoken by Donald Trump, those words are a manifestation of what I think is the root of the poisonous tree. It's a complete rejection of really what America was about, essentially. So when Burchett says that Vice President is a DEI hire, or Tommy Tuberville, who actually, the senator from Alabama.
I'm a white guy providing commentary on things the Democrats are doing. I am 100% certain that they can claim everything that I'm saying and doing right now is racist.
Americans have been carrying, anybody who doesn't fit the main narrative have been carrying, which is that really some of us are created more equal than others, and that some of us don't get to enjoy the rights and the responsibilities or the burdens of others. And yet there's been another strain in America that has fought against that. You hear the idea that the arc of the moral universe is bent towards justice, but somebody's got to bend it, and it's getting bent the wrong way. And at this particular
All right, J-Tech, explain to me exactly how she is as qualified as any Republican. Please, I would like to know, because she's a joke.
You have to earn democracy every day. It just doesn't show up. You really got to fight for it. And right now, I happen to think the wolf is at the door of the house of democracy. And then unless we beat it back, unless we really stand up and push it back, then it actually could fall. And once it falls, it is near impossible to get it back. So I do think that we need to stand in this moment. Kamala is carrying on her shoulders 248 years of pain, of agony, of hope, of frustration. And no matter how high she jumps, no matter how many degrees she has,
100%, Heath. Bush was a joke.
She's never good enough because they're always moving the line. And I think in that idea, she holds the heart of so many people who have been left out. But what Pete said is also true, that we have on the tip of our hands the future, the promise of America, the fact that America hasn't really begun to scratch the surface of her greatness, but the excitement of her candidacy that you feel out there is this kind of pent up hope that is it really possible that we can get it done?
Fake excitement.
And the answer is yes. However, we got to show up. And I would just say this to the white men of America. This idea somehow that when other people get, we lose, that when some people benefit, we just get left behind. That is absolutely not true. I have 5 kids, 2 daughters. My brother and sisters and I, the 9 of us, have 38 kids, and there are 19 of them are young women. Some of them are married, some of them are not. Some of them have kids, some of them don't. Each and every one of them has an incredible...
No American living today owes an apology for slavery, ever.
Really does work. It's a richer, deeper, more wonderful way to live, but you got to stand up for it. And the truth of the matter is, as Roy Cooper was saying, politically and numerically, if white guys would just show up, if we would stand up and be counted, if we would talk about what it really means to be a great partner and a man, which is to protect and to help and to lift up and to not push down, all of us are going to be better for it. And I think that you will see the vice president speaking to this very forcefully as she speaks about an economy that's going to work for everybody, as she speaks about democracy, but as has been said, when she speaks about freedom, because freedom is for everybody. Freedom is for hope. Freedom is for aspiration. And as I have said, the thing that I am so excited about, and I have had the chance to work with her, I know her, I love her, she's tough, she's smart, she's capable, she's ready to go.
I'm with Sean, I'm still waiting on real info.
The future that she sees for us, for all of us, is so compelling that it should get everybody up off of their feet, because nothing less is going to matter. And I'll end with Bradley, who is drawing down for us where it really matters, whether you call it fight or whether you call it submission, or the thing is, you have to go out and vote. This election is going to be won in 7 swing states. It's going to be won on the margins. It's going to be won when a coalition comes together who believes that when we do things
I don't think it's going to be that close at all, my guy.
And white men have to show up. If we show up to the tune of 1 or 2 or 3 more percentage points, that democracy that's in our reach will be ours for the taking. So I thank all of you for what you are about to do, but we really have to get at it. You have 100 days. And every one of those days is going to matter. So God bless you all, and thanks for getting in the fight.
Thank you, Mayor Landrieu. All right. And, I've heard a lot of people say you've got the best accent in politics. I think that I agree with that. So we know that there are some folks who maybe had a hard time getting in at the very beginning of the show.
Stabby.
So
nobody wants to talk about all the black dudes that she locked up for weed in California, do they? Can't talk about that.
whitedudesforharris.com. We also have heard that maybe some folks are having some issues donating through the YouTube button. You can donate at whitedudesforharris.com/donate.
Well, she's so awesome she can see into the future and hear future music.
Labor leaders in America. Jimmy Williams Jr. is 4th generation from Glazer, which is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm honored to introduce the General President of the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades, Jimmy Williams Jr.
Thank you, Ross. And, I started thinking, I'm like, hey, how does this white dude get to be on a call with like the Secretary of Transportation, with, Jeff Bridges, the coolest dude in the world? And I went, you know what? Nothing screams white dude more than a construction union, right? And nothing screams white middle-class working America.
I haven't said anything about DEI there, Georgia Tech. I just don't like her. I think she's an idiot.
The true only place for working people to advance in this economy, in an economy that works for real working people, as opposed to the alternative that's being presented with Project 2025 and the Trump lies around how to organize working people. The American
Heath on Twitter said,
knows how
hold on,
to
I'm going to turn these guys
people.
down. Heath on Twitter said, this is the only segregated DNC men's group in history that seems to lack the white pillowcase hats.
In Harris, in what is absolutely the most important election of our lifetime. Look,
I didn't call her a token hire. I said that the black dude they had on here earlier was the token black guy for the white dude.
Greatest president of my lifetime. And I'm 46 years old, and I'm lucky to say that I'm the youngest president of a labor union in the building trades. I'm proud to say that. But man, I am scared to death of what the future could look like if we go back to another Trump administration, one that truly left working construction white men behind, but yet had a way to organize people around hate and around division. And you know what we are hearing from Vice President Harris is a true plan.
Democrats spread more hate on social media every single day than anyone else. You want some examples? Go look at JoJo from Jers.
Working white dudes in this country. The American Rescue Plan, which bailed out hundreds of thousands of workers' pension plans, white dudes' pension plans. The bipartisan infrastructure bill that's creating hundreds of thousands of construction jobs for white dudes, passed by this administration. And that's just a scratch of the surface that we can do as a country. That's what's on the ballot. And we cannot sit by quietly like we did in 2016 as white working men in this economy. We have to do more than just donate money. We have to do more than just show up on a Zoom call. We have to talk to our neighbors. We have to talk to our brothers and sisters. We have to speak truth to power. And we have to build this moment because we can do it. When we stay organized and when we keep our eye on the ball, we can make a difference in working people's lives. That's why the American labor movement is united behind Vice President Harris. That's why we have 100 days to continue to knock on doors, to talk to our brothers and sisters. Look, the American labor movement is the most popular it's ever been. 77% of workers under the age of 30 want to join a labor union. That's the first time in my lifetime that labor unions
have historically been ran by gangsters.
I'll tell you this much. The only candidate on the ballot that supports the American labor movement is Vice President Harris. And we cannot allow for division around race and misogyny and xenophobia to be the thing that sets us backwards. We have to be united. As a proud Pennsylvanian, I get to cast my vote in a swing state, and I cannot wait to cast my vote for the first female president of the United States, Vice President Kamala Harris. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. That was awesome. Thank you. I've had a chance to check with our folks, and we just wanted to let you know that so far we've had over 60.
Hey, Stabby, remember, they rewrote history to show that she wasn't the border czar. Remember that. She wasn't really that.
Halfway to the 500,000 that I was hoping we'd be able to.
Even though we all know she was.
So let's keep the momentum going. Now's a great time to keep supporting the campaign. On your screen, there's options.
Right, he said we can't allow division around race. Quote from a segregated chat.
Every dollar you donate goes directly to the Harris campaign. Our next guest knows a little something about fundraising. Governor J.B. Pritzker, the 43rd governor of Illinois, has also selflessly given to many causes and is the chair of the DNC convention, which is going to be in Chicago super shortly. So it's my honor now to introduce Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois.
The DNC convention, where they'll introduce the candidate that no one voted for. Thanks so much,
Josh. And I got to be honest that when I'm invited to an event with a name like White Dudes for Harris, it doesn't usually sound like something I would join, but this is a terrific cause. And I'll keep my remarks short. I know that we have a lot of speakers. And afterward, of course, there's another Zoom that I invite you all to called Couches Against Trump, better known as CATS. I'm excited to join this call with incredible colleagues.
I have a name for you, too. It's called Pussies.
Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and with Mark Hamill and Jeff Bridges and Mark Ruffalo. Everyone on this call is doing it.
Yeah, their wives gave them permission. They're currently with their bull right now.
Democratic Party for the campaign, and I thank you all for doing that. all of us are here tonight because we know how hard we're going to need to work for the next 99 days to make sure that Kamala Harris is the next president of the United States. And if we're going to win in November, we need to remember that this is bigger than just, well, one group. Frankly, it's a fight for fundamental democratic values, American values that form the very fabric of this country. Values like standing up for workers' rights and climate action, raising the minimum wage to a living wage,
killing kids at
health
7 and
care,
8 months
personal
pregnancy.
freedoms, and so much more. Now, I've had the pleasure of working with Vice President Harris since she took office, since I took office. Her strength, her skills, her character is clear from the moment that you meet her and get to know her. And her unwavering commitment to the working families of the United States and the most vulnerable of our country proves that she'll be a leader to move us forward. Let's be clear about who Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are. Donald Trump is a 34-time convicted felon, an adjudicated rapist, and a congenital liar. He's a fraud.
And a kangaroo
And
court.
J.D. Vance is his mini-me. I even created my own cognitive test that describes the two of them. Sofa, dolphin, shark, cats, convict. Now,
What the
these are
fuck is
two
he
men
talking
who are
about?
fundamentally unfit for the Oval Office, and the harm that they would do to this country would be irreversible. Trump brags about his role in overturning Roe v. Wade and ending abortion rights. And not to be outdone, J.D. Vance opposes exceptions for rape and incest victims. And he seems completely unwilling to couch his disdain for women. And they won't stop there. A second Trump term would go after IVF and contraception.
There is nothing more evil than taking an innocent life. And how more innocent can you get than a baby in the womb?
While giving tax breaks to the wealthiest and their mega corporations. They would gut overtime pay and workplace protections for workers. If you don't believe me, it's all spelled out in the Project 2025 right-wing manifesto. These next 99 days aren't going to be fun for Donald Trump because there's nothing that scares him more than facing off against a smart, accomplished woman who will call him out on his bullshit. And you better believe that Kamala Harris knows how to prosecute this case against Trump every single day. But to win, we also need people making
this
the
dude
case
really is
right
the
alongside
real
her,
criminal.
like the
And
tens of
what's
thousands of
happening in
people on
Illinois
this call.
is nothing
This
short of
is
an
going to
unmitigated
be,
disaster.
well, a difficult campaign. It'll be a hard campaign. But I know that
Chicago
we're
is
all
a
ready
war
to
zone.
put in the work. So here's the ask that I make to you. Get involved and give. Visit whitedudesforharris.com to donate, volunteer, and then tell your friends and family to do the same. We have a real fight ahead. And so I ask you all, are you ready for that fight? Let's go win this thing. Thanks so much for having me on the call.
Hell yeah, we're ready for the fight. Thank you, Governor. Many folks on this.
Hell yeah,
and
brother.
many
I might
folks
even
on,
cut off my man bun for the
panel,
fight.
I'm sure are going to be attending and are looking forward to seeing you in Chicago in a few weeks for the DNC convention. And maybe as a Democratic nominee for VP, who knows? Our next guest is the voice of your child's favorite Disney, one of your child's favorite Disney characters. Shout out to Olaf. And also a very distinguished and award-winning actor in TV, film, and theater, Grammy and Tony nominee and winner, Josh Gad.
Thank you. I'm not quite sure how I drew the short straw and went after like all of the leading vice presidential candidates, but here I am. Also, quick observation. They have Kid Rock, Kevin Sorbo, and a dolphin aficionado, and we have the Hulk, Samwise Gamgee, Luke Skywalker, and Mayor Pete just on this Zoom. That's pretty damn cool.
They're fictional characters, man. They're not real.
That much you can probably tell by now. But I also happen to be a father of two girls. I have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old. And I'm not sure if you guys can recall that feeling you had on the night of Tuesday, November 8th, 2016. I stood over my kid's bed and I wept. I wept because I felt.
I did too. I wept in hope for a better future.
They had the chance, and we had the chance to have a female president for the first time in our lives.
No, you're 100% right. It's nothing they're saying is real either. It's all a Jurassic Park size load of shit.
A man in office who not only disdains women, but whose own wife can't look him in the eye, whose own
Fight Club,
daughters seem to want nothing to associate him to be associated with him. And that feeling of dread and that feeling of fear and that feeling of shame is not something I'm ever willing or able to allow myself to feel again, which is why right now I am begging all of you to smash that donate button, because we owe it to the next generation of girls to not go through that hellscape times 2025 all over again. There's a fundamental difference this time, though, that there wasn't last time. There's a lot of fear, and I get that. I trust me, I fear it too. But there's also something in the air that I haven't felt in a really long time. Hope.
People on the right just want to be left the hell alone.
And that feeling of hope, that feeling of being surrounded by people who aren't just voting out of distress and aren't just voting against something, but are voting for something, is really special. It's sometimes a generational feeling, right? We've had a lot of presidents in our lifetimes that have.
He says we also have the entire UFC, gun owners, people who have read a history book. And yeah, that's a big one right there. Most of these people, they don't know a thing about history. They've never read a history book.
Doesn't sound like the others, who isn't like the others. And that's a generational opportunity. And that feeling of hope is why I'm on this Zoom. That feeling that I have someone to so fully get behind, to be a cheerleader for, and to imagine being.
He likes being a cheerleader.
Imagine standing there on Inauguration Day as I get to sit next to my daughters and listen to our first Madam President speak. That
while she cackles on the world stage.
All to imagine tonight. That is the thing that has brought us all here. And that is the thing that, unlike last time.
I've only read a little bit about Venezuela. That's going on, all the stuff going on down there, Heath, but I'm not surprised that Maduro won re-election. I mean, I don't think anybody's shocked by that. It's essentially a dictatorship.
On that glass ceiling until the damn thing shatters once and for all. Love you guys. Let's do this.
Shaman said, smash that donate button as hard as Montel smashed Kamala.
Do what Josh said and smash that donate button. If you've already given, smash it again. If you've already given twice, you're more than welcome to smash it a third time. Our next guest has been all over the news.
Kamala let him smash it a second and third time too.
Record and style, especially his awesome hats. We have Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, who's presided over a historic progressive agenda in Minnesota, the highest ranking retired enlisted soldier ever to serve in Congress. He was also a coach and a teacher. Please join me in welcoming David Hogg's favorite politician, Governor Tim Walz.
Well, thanks, Ross. Thanks for having me on. The anti-Tommy Tuberville, I guess. So it's good to see you. Mitch Landrieu, good to see you. Any place you're at, I'm here. JB Pritzker and this whole group. Following Josh Gad, I am now complete, Josh. This was it. I'm going to echo that message, though, that message of hope. My oldest daughter's name is Hope. And that's because my wife and I spent 7 years trying to get pregnant, needed fertility treatments, things like IVF, things that they would ban. And so once again, I keep talking about this idea. You're right. These guys are the anti-freedoms. I grew up in a small town, 400 people, 24 kids in the class, 12 cousins. And I hear JD Vance trying to talk about what a small town is. There's one golden rule in a small town. Those of you who are from a small town, mind your own damn business. We don't need it. I don't know who's asking for this crazy stuff that they're pushing. Who's asking to ban birth control? Who's asking to raise the price of insulin? I'm a Legion Club member, and none of the dudes there are asking to cut veterans benefits like Project 2025 does. So look, that's not where folks are at. I represented a rural district. Donald Trump won it by 15 points in 2016 when I won. Those are folks that want a fair shot. We need to point out to this. The reason rural America hurts is because robber barons like these guys have come in there. These are the guys that take money out of our public schools for private schools to give vouchers to people who are already going to private school. They undermine the basic social safety net that makes this country great. So when I hear you on here, I heard Josh talking about hope. That is exactly right. That's what we need. And then coupled with that, because my wife reminds me of this, she said, hope is the most powerful word in the universe, but it's not a damn plan. We need a plan to win. And that's what you guys are doing. That's what smashing that button does. That's what's calling. And again, this is preaching to the choir, but the choir needs to sing. The choir needs to sing. This is our moment. This is not just transformational for one election. This is transformational for several generations. But here's the thing that I take responsibility for. We're not in this alone. The rest of the world needs us to be here. These guys throwing our NATO allies under the bus, the idea that they don't care what happens in the rest of the world, not addressing climate change that's going to impact communities that are less fortunate than anyone else. Those are the things it has to do. We have communities that are going to pay the price because we don't address it. Here's the great news. How often in 100 days do you get to change the trajectory of the world? How often in 100 days do you get to do something that's going to impact generations to come? And how often in the world do you make that bastard wake up afterwards and know that a black woman kicked his ass and sent him on the road? And you know that's something that guy's going to have to live with for the rest of his life. So I got to tell all of you, please, please do what you can. Please talk. Look, I got Florida Man as a brother. We all got him in our families. But these are our neighbors and our relatives. And at heart, they're good people. They're not mean-spirited. They're not small. They're not petty like they hear on stage. They're angry. They're confused. They're frustrated. They feel like they got left behind sometimes. But we can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. Just do the damn work. So I got to tell you, when I see this, it lifts me up. I'm inspired. I see it. Again, anti-Tommy Tuberville, this is the first day of football. We're all in this. We're all undefeated. We got an opportunity on this. I want to be standing in that day in November when we're playing for the big one, and I'll take us. And again, keep hammering on these guys. This idea of calling them out for who they are, shrink them. Is he a danger to society? Yes. Is he a danger to women's health? Yes. Is he a danger to world peace? Yes. But don't give him more credit than he needs. He's just a strange, weird dude, as we've been saying. Pick that in the pace, pick up the work, do the work, donate, call, talk to your neighbors. Let's win this thing. No regrets at the end of this. Thanks, folks.
Thank you, Governor. I see why everybody's so excited about you. With that, while the governor was speaking, I was checking in with folks, and they're telling me that we've had over 123,000 people who have tuned in so far, and we have managed to raise, and we've now hit $3 million for the campaign. So let's keep it going. Let's get that up to 3.5 million. Our next guest is truly one of the funniest folks I've seen. Paul Scheer is an actor and author that starred in Veep, The League, one of my favorite shows, and Knuckles. He's also an outspoken advocate for democratic causes and one of the hosts of How Did This Get Made?
This is a huge liberal circle jerk.
Bad movies. Please welcome Paul Scheer.
Who the hell's this?
Hey, everybody. I am so excited to be on this JD Vance fundraiser. I'm sorry, wait. Oh, sorry, that in an hour. So I'm doing that now. No, I am so happy that we are all here tonight because we have taken the first step to being involved in this campaign. We showed up. We found the website, we clicked on it at the right time, and most importantly, we made time for something bigger than ourselves. And over these next few weeks, we need to continue to show up. And I think it's easier to do that when we're actually fired up. We all know what we're fighting against. But tonight, I want to focus on what and who we are fighting for. Because when we know what we're fighting for, we can speak to it. And that has the ability to move people. And that's what we have to do in this campaign. We need to make sure that everyone we know is voting, and we have to tell them who we are voting for. So let me tell you why I am fighting for Kamala. In short, I am voting for a fighter, someone who has been fighting for the little people since she was a little person. I mean, this is no joke. Did you know
but your fighters never caught a bullet and walked away from it?
Wouldn't let kids play on the lawn. Now, most kids would just go inside and do something else, but not Kamala. She staged a protest and got the apartment complex to reverse its decision. All right? That's the drive. All right? That's the want to help people in need that have defined her entire career. You know, some people, they threaten to take on Wall Street, but she actually did it. During the great financial crisis, when the big banks were only offered $4 billion to foreclosed homeowners in California, she stood firm and she got that number up to $20 billion, from 4 to 20 billion. She stood up for mothers and veterans. She's passed bills to improve maternal health among racial and ethnic minority groups. She has fought for the middle class. She's introduced bills to give tax cuts to the middle and working class Americans, and was an early proponent of universal health care and forgiving student debt.
Are you guys paying less taxes? Are you that paid off your student debt or never had any in the first place happy that your tax dollars are paying off somebody's feminine studies degree?
Against discriminatory laws like Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. She's also been influential in securing a historic $65 billion investment to expand high-speed internet across the U.S., which created hundreds of jobs. She stood up to the gun lobby, passing the most comprehensive common sense gun prevention measures in decades, including stricter age limits, mental health services, and funding for community-based violence intervention programs. Kamala consistently stands up early and often as new issues arise, and she's always there to greet them, whether it's help regulating artificial intelligence or fighting for the environment. You know, she was one of the early co-sponsors of the Green New Deal. And more recently, she just got a $3 billion pledge from the U.S. to the Green Climate Fund. She's also the first vice president who's ever visited a Planned Parenthood. No VP or president has ever done that. And she has been continually vocal in her trust for women to make decisions about their own.
Bet she had a hell of a time at Planned Parenthood.
Tell them what to do. Time and time again, she has taken on tough issues, the ones that don't have an easy fix. But she has shown up, she has listened, and she has leaned in and continued to implement change, all while adjusting her tactics to achieve success as new information comes to light. She is the type of person that gives me something to fight for. And if the past is any indication of the future, this is the type of president America needs, who will fight and get historic reform. This will move us into the future.
Yeah, you can see him looking over at the script. He's not even looking at the camera.
You to stay involved, to stay fired up, and keep telling her story.
Everything I'm saying is not real.
To each other about why people need to vote and who they are voting for. So mash that button, and I have to get ready for my speech about couches. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. I think you win the award for best background so far tonight. Our next guest had the most bills enacted into law by U.S. Senator during a single congressional session in over 40 years. He's also one of the most effective senators around bipartisanship. You know, he might make a great VP. I'd like to introduce Senator Gary Peters of the great state of Michigan.
Yet again, they can't turn the damn audio on. Nobody here knows how to turn their microphone on.
Thank you so much. This is just amazing to be on this call with all these folks, all these dudes supporting my friend Kamala Harris. You know, I had the privilege of actually being Kamala's seatmate in the Senate. We got to know each other very well. I consider her a friend, and of course, she's a woman of amazing integrity and passion. But before I talk a little bit about that, I just want to take a moment once again just to thank Joe Biden for what he did in passing the torch, and how much we appreciate that. And can you just imagine a president of the United States who puts the country before himself. That is amazing.
You mean like Donald Trump?
From the guy who wants to be back in the White House, which is why we have to win. The thing that I really appreciate, though, most about Joe Biden was that he was pro-labor. We heard from Jimmy Williams earlier. You know, he's the most pro-union president ever. To me, that's incredibly important, especially from the state of Michigan. Union is incredibly important in my state. People are passionate about the ability to join one. And it's personal to me. My father was a union member. My father-in-law was in the UAW. My mother was a union steward for the SEIU union, and she organized her workplace. She was a nurse's aide, a person who you may be familiar with nurses' aides. They're overworked, they're underpaid, they're underappreciated. But she knew that the only way that she would get ahead was by joining a union. They collectively got together and made that happen. That's what freedom is about. We've been talking about freedom here in this program here. Freedom to collectively bargain, to fight for fair wages, to have affordable health care. And when it's all said and done, after you've worked, retire with dignity. And let's be clear, that's what Kamala Harris is all about. She believes in her soul about the need for workers to be able to join unions. She's been out on the stump recently, talked to a major union. And you compare that, you know, elections are all about contrast. You contrast that to two phonies that are on the other side. Donald Trump, you know, when Joe Biden came into Detroit and walked the picket line with the UAW members, the first time that a president ever did it. You know, I was on that picket line with folks, and they talked about how authentic he is and real, just like Kamala Harris. And what did Trump do when he came into Detroit? He had a rally that he said was pro-union, and he did it in a non-union shop. There were no union members there. You've got J.D. Vance, who basically does a photo op. He's never lifted his finger once for working men and women in this country. And I don't believe you can have a middle class without a strong and vibrant union movement. That's who is in our heart and soul as Democrats, and that's what we're going to continue to fight for. It's going to be a key part of this coalition.
How does that retirement package look when inflation's so high that your money is worthless? That's my question.
J.D. Vance in particular, about how he thinks about women. And we all love the women in our lives, whether it's our mothers, our sisters, our wives, our daughters, and we worship our loved ones. But what does J.D. Vance think about women? Just think, I just want to leave one idea. Think about this. When he is strongly pro-life. He does not believe that women should have the reproductive freedom necessary for their proper care. And he does not believe that there should be any exceptions for rape or incest. And he was asked in particular about rape. Then what did he think? If a woman was raped, was she raped? And she had to carry that baby, what did he think about it? Well, this was the word he used. He said, well, rape is inconvenient. Well, guys, on this call, rape is not inconvenient. It is absolutely catastrophic. To me, that should disqualify J.D. Vance. It should disqualify Trump, who led to the overturn of Roe v. Wade. And as men, we need to come together and understand that this is an attack against the people we love so much, the women who are
as men, we need to support the killing of babies.
We'll win this race. We've got to come together. We've got to win in Michigan, my state. I think it's safe to say you probably can't be president of the United States if you don't win Michigan, but you got to win in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and other states. But this is where the battle is. We've got to dig deep, put every nickel we can into this race that we can afford, get out there and work, talk to our friends, because the future of this country truly is at stake. So thank you for having me on this program. This is amazing to have this kind of energy. We're seeing it on the grounds in Michigan, but we got 100 more days. This is going to be a long slog. Together, we will do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Peters. That got me real fired up. Our next guest is someone you definitely know because he's Mikey, Rudy, Samwise. This guy only knows how to play the most inspirational characters. But he's also an incredible activist for democracy and has even served on the President's Council on Service and Civic Participation. So who knows a little bit about
Michigan alone doesn't just hate Whitmer. Everyone hates Whitmer.
Aston.
Thanks, Ross. Now I feel that Senator's passion and upset on that. I think I was 20 or 21 years old, and my neighbor across the street told me he was going to a men's group. And I was like, what? He said, oh, yeah, I'm going to my men's group. And I couldn't, like, is it a cult? Like, I didn't, the concept was just, I didn't get it. And then a few years later, my little brother, who was addicted to drugs and alcohol, called and agreed to accept help. And so we found a good program for him to go through. He did it 90 days. It was awesome. But like families feel when someone goes through that, there's uncertainty about whether or not they'll relapse, about what's going to happen with their life, you know? And after about, I don't know, 2 or 3 years of him regularly coming, he had moved back to be with my dad on the East Coast, but regularly coming back, and you'd kind of be like, oh, do you have work? Like, what's going on? He was always coming back to be with his men's group. I think they had more than white men in that group. So, but the idea that men can gather to talk about how we feel.
Called therapy.
Interesting, powerful concept. And to include
therapy, group therapy is a hell of a concept.
We said in our invitation, everyone is welcome. That's a really interesting phrase.
Yeah, you're right. It is too bad because I actually did like his acting too.
You might hear it in other places. I'm pretty sure you can feel that it's true here with this particular political party and this particular candidate.
I don't think anybody can really believe what they're saying in support of this woman. It's all fake. It's all fake engagement. It's fake excitement. Nothing about it's real.
To me, there's reverence, absolute reverence for women, because mostly I probably wouldn't survive if I didn't, because I barely have a vote with my beautiful women in my life. When I think about smashing the donation button, I think of honoring them. I think of honoring their life and their experience, which I've learned things about women watching my daughters grow up that nobody warned me about. I thought the dad's job was supposed to help prepare them for, college and their love relationships. I didn't know that it was dangerous for women to just walk down the street. I didn't know that they would,
Well, it's only dangerous.
I just didn't understand the kinds of things that affected them in the ways that they do. And as a father, that you just want to protect. You just want to protect them. You want to help them.
I have a daughter. I'm going to make sure she can protect herself because I'm teaching her how to use a firearm.
Tested, proven woman into the presidency so that all girls for all time can know that that's possible. That our country, get the placemat out when you're with a kindergartner and you're looking at the placemat of the presidents. Not one woman. And the other side, they try and take everything that's good about us and demean it. Kamala Harris smiles. She laughs. She dances. She has joy. She's alive. And they try and ridicule her for that. And they try and undermine us.
We ridicule her for it because it's fake.
A serious person who can prosecute a tough case against people when she's in the Senate. Those are some of the most exciting moments during that awful time, was watching this senator take them to task. Kavanaugh and some of those other people that I watched her fully prepared for her moments. So exquisite with her use of language. Such seriousness of purpose that she has. Full package. I'm a leader of my union. I was a delegate and gave a keynote speech 2 weeks ago at the California Labor Federation. What the governor was saying, or the two governors and the senator were saying about
Kamala Harris being a part of the labor movement. These people were 750 labor union leaders.
Yeah, she likes free labor by putting people in jail and making them work.
Talking about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. $40 billion bailout of a retirement fund for the Teamsters. All these things, they had the receipts. The UAW president, Sean Fain, the Teamster or the flight attendant labor president, Sarah Nelson. These people were talking about the Democratic Party and these Democratic leaders in terms that were just so inspiring. So I just want to say like two last things. I have been so proud to be a volunteer. I don't know how many people, when you're watching this, if you're watching back, have ever actually volunteered. You're looking at the strongest, toughest professionals, and by toughest, I mean the quality of their minds, these professional politicians that are here. I don't know how many of you watching understand the professional world of politics, but what I interfaced was as a volunteer, show up at the place in the mall and get on the phone and start making the calls. I actually got to canvass with Dolores Huerta. If you don't know who Dolores Huerta is, she was co-founder of the United Farm Workers Movement. And I went door to door with Dolores Huerta and I was looking at all the cameras that were following us and thinking about what I was going to say. Dolores wanted to make sure that the person whose door we were knocking on knew where their polling place was and knew what time knew what date it was. And if they didn't understand, she took whatever time it took to explain it to them. Details matter. Caring about the details with each my father always told me every human interaction is sacred. So I'm committed that today what I did, I'm a very busy guy. I'm finishing my master's. That's another thing. I've learned getting my master's in public policy and public administration that the mid-level bureaucrat administrator in our country, they're heroes and they get totally overlooked by this process. And I'd like to have a president who actually cares about them, not who wants to cut all the funding to their department. Those people need support, these administrators. And finally, I would just say that you said it, Ross, at the beginning. You talked about loneliness. You talked about loneliness, the loneliness crisis in America. I go and I give speeches on mental health all over the country. And what all the mental health professionals that I've been talking to for the last 3 years are saying is it was anxiety as the number one thing, and now it's loneliness. When you're volunteering on a presidential campaign, there's actually such community and such deceptive loneliness. Because you spend a full day knocking on doors and you go home and you sit at home and all of a sudden you think, what was that expenditure of energy? What did it mean? Who knows about it? Who cares? Every single person who will be positively impacted by the policies that get passed because you put in the effort when maybe no one else noticed it, that's who cares. And you may never see them. That's it for now.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sean. That was really, really powerful. I love the idea of thinking about who we're honoring when we donate to Vice President Harris. And I thank you for that really, really deeply personal story. Our next guest knows a lot about tough elections and taking on Donald Trump. We have Congressman Adam Schiff here, who has represented California's 30th district since 2001. During the Trump years, Congressman Schiff was the lead impeachment manager on Trump's first impeachment, and he's running to be the next senator from California. Please welcome Congressman Adam Schiff.
Ross, thanks so much. Great to be with all you dudes.
Peckerhead in chief on here now.
Wonderful to see the incredible excitement just over the last week and a half. This outpouring of enthusiasm and sudden interest in engaging and getting involved is really going to carry the day for us in November. And so I'm just thrilled to join you. And please go ahead, interrupt my speaking, press that button, take time to press that button, smash that button, contribute, make sure you do your part, as we're all trying to do, to make sure that Kamala Harris is successful in November. I just want to take a moment to share a few thoughts on what's at stake here. All of us on this Zoom grew up in the post-World War II period when we We saw around the world new democracies being born. We saw walls coming down. We saw freedoms expand at home and abroad. We saw the ability to freely associate with whom we would, practice our faith, love whom we would love. And we came to believe that this was somehow inexorable, like a law of gravity, that the world was ever democratizing, ever becoming more progressive and liberal, only to discover, much to our shock, that there's nothing inevitable, nothing inexorable about this. And in fact, that every generation, as it would turn out, has to struggle to preserve democracy. Thank God we don't have to go to war like our parents' or grandparents' generation had to. Thank God that all we need to do is get ourselves to the polls to make sure that we get out and vote, that we get our neighbors out to vote, that we get our kids out to vote, that we participate in our democracy. We are all going to have to answer to the generations come after. What did we do when our democracy was at stake?
I'll watch it because I don't get no sound.
We have in Donald Trump someone who could give a damn about our institutions, our democracy, who only cares about himself. Somebody who says he wants to be a dictator on day one. Someone who says if you vote for him now, you never have to vote again.
Just keep me muted for a second. Let me catch up.
How in hell can that guy be a candidate for anything in this country? Someone who incited a violent attack on the Capitol. Someone who
got chat as well,
those criminals. Someone who's a criminal himself. And I'll tell you how this is possible because I've seen this.
Okay, awesome. All right, let me just.
And that is, he has.
I don't need the screenshot because it's got no audio. I've got it up now on my other computer. I'll get the audio on my headphones and then we're good.
To further their ambition, people like J.D. Vance.
Did you see that meme I posted? The millions must be baptized.
Who described him as a cultural opioid, who said he was unfit for office, now rushing to be a partner in that unfit ticket. Robert Carroll, the historian, once said that power doesn't corrupt
we're not muted.
as much as it reveals. Well, power's revealed a lot about people like J.D. Vance and Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy and so many others willing to sacrifice everything they said they once believed.
Sorry, guys.
All on the altar of their ambition and gaining power.
All right.
But we have the ability to reinforce and strengthen and preserve our democracy. We have the ability to make an incredible woman the president of the United States. We have the ability to restore reproductive freedom. We have the ability to reform the Supreme Court. All of this we can.
Sorry for the interruptions.
All of this we
Let's
can
get
do
on with this,
within
man.
less than 4 months. Hit that button again. Take a moment. Hit that button again. We have less than 4 months. And here's the thing. These have been heavy times. These have been difficult times, I think, on all of us. And you've heard so many of the prior speakers talk about all the challenges that we've been through in this country. But we're going to get through this. This too shall pass. We are an incredibly resilient country. We have beautiful, patriotic people in every state of the union.
Didn't really get to test
this too shall pass. The only question is, does this pass in less than 4 months? Or does it take more than 4 years? And the answer to that question will be decided by all of us and our neighbors and our fellow Americans will decide that question. And it is wonderful to see now the engagement, the excitement, the hope for the future and what we can do to preserve our planet, to provide safety for our kids in their classrooms.
Bro, it's cooked. What's he talking about?
What we can do to restore reproductive freedom and continue to grow our freedoms.
It's all like the liberal
and help grow democracy around the world. Help Ukraine and other allies defend themselves against those who use military force to remake the map of their region. This is all.
The chat's so small, I can't read it. I want to read some of the chat.
Oh yeah. Here, I'll fix it.
Turning out tonight.
We don't need
so
to see
grateful
Adam
for
shit
all
that
you're
much.
doing now, your generosity, for your willingness to volunteer and get involved. We are going to get through this. We are going to get through this. And thank you for your part in making that happen.
Oh yeah,
thanks.
Yeah, I figured
thanks,
that
dudes.
out, Stabby. I didn't have the
a
audio
special
set
shout
up
out to Jeff
right
Bridges.
for separating Discord
As you can
from
tell, I'm a fan of the Big
audio in
Lebowski here.
so I'm working on that
and
at
Jeff,
the
I
moment.
thought your comments really tied the whole conversation together.
So I get for
Have a
using
great night,
a new
everybody.
machine without testing it straight
Thank
up.
you so
but
much,
it's okay.
Congressman. And I'm excited to, in the not too distant future, possibly
Just,
call you senator.
Paul, just remember, you'll
really
have to
quick,
mute
I just want to
yourself if
give
you
a
need to.
shout out to one of our
I
other
can't do it.
congressional friends,
Yeah,
Congressman
yeah, yeah.
Jamie
Understood.
Raskin,
Understood.
who we're really excited to work with.
Did he
over the
just
next 2
legit
days.
pull out
Thank
a
you so much for
bobblehead?
joining us tonight. I also just got another
I've
note.
missed it, man. Did he have a
long-time
bobblehead?
investor,
Yeah,
Ron
bobblehead,
Conley, is gonna
man
be
bun
matching the next
detected.
$10,000
Man bun
that we raise.
detected.
So please
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
donating. We're at over
You know how much I hate
$3.2
man buns.
million
I just
raised,
absolutely
but things
despise
have
man
slowed
buns.
down a little bit, so we need you to keep it going. So keep smashing that donate button. I'm also seeing that we've sold 4,700 White Dudes for Harris hats for the 47th president. So loving that. Keep buying those hats. Buy them for friends and family. Our next guest is a Golden Globe and Emmy award-winning actor, director, entrepreneur, who's probably ever entertained you at every stage of your life in iconic movies like A River Runs Through It, Angels in the Outfield, 10 Things I Hate About You,
Okay, I think
Looper, Inception, Don John, to name just a select few. We'd love to welcome Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Camp, like zesty, like
Hey
gay.
everybody, thanks
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
I'm honored to follow.
He's so zesty
Mr.
that he's
Schiff
in main
out
course
of
at
Hero.
Olive Garden.
So I want to talk for a little bit about business. I've mostly earned my living as an entertainer, but I've also run a company. My dad ran a small business successfully.
I'm still playing catch up. I just got off the farm. Is this real White Dudes for Harris, or are you
No,
trolling?
no. This is 100% real. David Hogg was promoting this all day on Twitter. White Dudes for Harris, okay? And it's been a complete and total shit show the whole time. They even had like the token black guy at the beginning. And it's been hilarious.
When I hear people say this thing,
This guy, yeah, Stabby. He looks. This guy has China eyes going on like fucking crazy. This is real. This is a weird alternate universe. In his garage, he has old arcade games, of course. And people
Are we
are
sure it's
donating.
real and not a green screen?
No, I'd say that's real, bro. Like that's what he's done to his garage. He's painted it all black and he's put some old machines in there because he feels like that's what dads do. He's like working with his hands, you know. He's like working with his tools to like get in the arcade. That's what we need to do to be progressive. Should we actually listen to what he's saying, or like I'm just
Yeah. I've been trying to listen to it. I've been trying to listen to all these crazies.
Even if he were a successful businessman, which I'm not sure he has been, I think there are pretty much two different types of successful business people in this world. There are the honest business people who have an honest goodness, valuable product or good or service that they can bring to the world. And they treat their employees well. They treat their investors and their vendors and their customers well. And in turn, they are treated well and they do well as a businessman or business person. An honest business person. That's the kind of business person my dad was. And it's the kind that I strive to be.
Look, he's almost in tears.
There's another type.
I just want to be honest.
Or a woman, business person. And that's the con man. And I know there are also con women too, but if we're really honest, in this White Dudes group,
he's totally about to crack
biggest,
up, man.
baddest cons in the world are guys.
I hate guys so much.
Short, right?
I hate being a
con
guy.
man is different than an honest businessman.
Next week I'll become a woman.
Or might not.
He nearly got on the truth.
Have an honest to goodness
He nearly
product or service to offer the world, but it doesn't really matter, right?
Oh,
he's
still there.
charismatic. He's good at lying.
It's a gender thing. Only guys lie.
His
only
guys
lie.
His employees, his vendors, his investors, and he doesn't really give a shit about them. And as soon as he needs to, he's ready to screw them over.
Stabby said he looks ripped out of his mind.
He ends up.
You know what? He probably had a big fat
That's
ball
a con
before
man.
he did this. He's like, hell
It's
yeah.
not exactly the kind of man you want to be, but it is one way to be successful in business. So ask yourself.
Wait a minute. Heath on Twitter said
Let's
and
just
that is
say
why he
Donald
cut
Trump
off his own
is a
balls.
successful
Wait a minute.
businessman.
Please tell me more.
Which I don't think he is.
This is a
Is
trans.
it because he's been an honest businessman?
I don't know. Maybe
Or
that's
is
what
it
I'm
because he's a
detecting.
con
There's
man?
something weird.
I think that's really, really obvious. This guy is a con man. Of course he is. He's consistently screwed over. Look at his past business careers, consistently screwed over his customers, his tenants, his employees. Look at his past presidency, where his signature program was cutting taxes for rich people. Con man. Now, there are some folks who then say, yeah, but that's just it, right? We need that kind of aggressive.
Davey said he's been an actor forever. I think I've seen this guy
over
before,
all those other countries.
I'm not totally sure.
And that'll be
Maybe
good for
Stabby
us.
can tell us what he's been in, and I'll remember that.
But it's not true. It's not what would happen. It's not what happened so far. It's not how a con man operates. If you think that he's going to look out,
yeah,
for
he's
middle-class,
on Twitter says, look at his eyes. I totally
American
He looks like
people.
he's had a big
I'm
fat ball
sorry,
before
but that's
he
just
went on
not how it ever goes with guys like this.
Oh, he's been in a movie with Seth Rogen.
He'll screw over everybody just like every con man does. And if he's going to help anybody, it's going to be guys like him, rich and powerful people, helping them get more.
Just so you know, Paul, we're like over an hour. We're an hour and 40 minutes into this garbage at this point.
To helping ordinary Americans with whatever money troubles.
How are you saying fucking what?
So this is why.
What was this speech? So the crux of it is women don't lie. Women are bad. His dad was a good guy.
Con man.
And
like this.
Trump is a bad businessman or something. Is that what the point he was making?
Yeah, I think so. Oh no, did they just break? Did they just break? Oh no.
Because
I don't know what
that's a tangible difference.
You like stop there for a second.
But in addition to that, find one friend of yours.
Joseph
I bet
Gordon-Levitt.
you have at least one friend.
Okay, thank you very
who you've
much.
heard this from,
Thank you.
Who you've heard say, "No, I don't like him. He's bad. He's disrespectful.
He's coming in so weak and
he says
feminine. I'm
bad
having
things,
to
but
really crank the
he's
volume
business."
on my headset to be able to hear it.
Have a conversation with them. Just dig a little deeper. See what's underneath that. Because I think if you actually spend any time thinking about it, not just sort of impressed by how he looks rich, you actually think about it. Is this guy going to really help any Americans with their money troubles?
Probably a whole lot more than Kamala is, to be honest.
He doesn't put America
I don't
first
see
like that, no
how
matter
an
often he
open
likes to say
border
it. Guy
and
lies.
undermining people who
Puts himself first.
manage to get their immigration
What he
together,
does.
to get
What a
their green
con man
card,
does.
people like myself, who are able to
So
actually...
that's it for me. Thank you.
How
go,
is that
Kamala.
worse than...
Thank you so much for that.
Nice.
Really appreciate it. All right,
It's difficult
everybody,
to really
you got to get
understand
to
here where it's
$3.5
coming
million
from.
in the next 15 minutes.
Joseph
or so.
Gordon-Levitt.
We're at a little over. We're around 3.3 right
It's
now.
hard to hear it,
So
really, and it makes sense.
Hit that
I mean,
donate button.
he's talking about
I've got
having
my
an
phone
open
right
border.
here.
He's
I'm
talking
also going to
about
give $25
way
or
more than
whatever
just
I
birth
can,
control,
whatever
right?
you can right
That's
now.
what he's agreeing with. And
Give. We
I think
also
we need to
I
hear his
just
take
saw
on
literally
Hamas.
like came into my inbox
yeah,
1 second ago that we just hit
Yeah.
150,000 people on
so
the
what
stream
these white
tonight.
dudes...
So thank you so much, everyone who's been on. Thank you for your support.
10
Please
things I
keep
hate
sharing
about
this
you.
out
That
with
was
folks,
that
'cause we've
movie,
got
the high school
we've got
movie.
amazing
Yeah.
speakers to
I haven't seen
come.
it for years.
Our next
That's
guest
from a
is
different
someone
era.
who's very
That's
important to me.
pre-Taser Me
He's a
Bro
dear
era.
friend, one of the best
Yeah.
organizers I've ever known.
Right,
George
right.
Gold
That's some
has
good
been
times, but that's
organizing rural
American Pie
communities and has
era
taught
of
many
movies.
of us
Do you
what
remember
we
that
know
American
in his
Pie?
book, The
He fucked the
Fundamentals of
pie, an
Organizing.
apple pie.
George is a Midwesterner who has been organizing for
Yeah,
decades.
Stifler.
He's the
Remember him?
former
They made him
executive
gay in
director
the
of one
end,
of the
I think.
largest
Yeah.
organizing
Isn't that what they
networks in
done?
the country, People's
Was it him?
Action.
I don't remember,
And
man.
wrote
I'm pretty
the book
sure
for
they
organizers.
in the
Please
last
welcome my
American
dear
Pie,
friend,
like I
George
saw
Gold.
where Stifler was in it. He
Hey,
was like
Ross,
hanging
thanks
out
for
with all
having me.
his
Thanks to
buddies,
your
and they were all
leadership and courage
flaming
pulling this together.
homosexuals.
A very
Like he
big
hadn't.
deal and
That
big
was the
move.
joke. Is like they were.
I've spent
they
30
were being
years
jocks back in
organizing
high school,
working
but they
class
turned
people
into
to come
fags.
together across
It
race
was.
and win.
It was a
And
bit
there's
of
one
a
candidate in
yeah,
this
an
presidential
anticlimax
election
in
who
the
stands
movie,
for
but
working class people, and that's Kamala
yeah.
Harris.
Who's
I
this
grew
guy?
up
Look at the
in
forehead
southern
on this
Indiana
dude.
in a
Holy
really white part of the
schmoly!
state.
This guy's got a
And one of the
literal.
towns we lived in has been
That's a
so
fight.
devastated by
He
plant
was an
closures
actor. Yeah,
that
he was
literally
an
every
actor.
single storefront
I think
downtown
he
has been
went on
closed.
hormone therapy
And just
or
down the
something
road a
and
few miles, the same
didn't
story.
finish puberty or something.
192 people 192 people who were struggling with
Wow,
addiction in
man.
a 4,000 person town contracted HIV in just a couple months.
10 things
Later, I moved to Chicago and
1999,
became
yeah.
an organizer on the
I'm
West
feeling
Side,
that,
and
man.
it was really
back
just
then.
more
It
of the
was like
same.
there was American
Plant
Pie,
closures
there
up and
was
down,
10 Things I Hate
one-time
About You, there was
industrial
another movie,
strongholds. And
Final
like Indiana, the
Destination.
good jobs and factories
Is that
that
the
were once
902
there had
on
been replaced
old
by
guy with
despair and
cancer
addiction.
AIDS? I
So
don't
you
know,
got
bro. He's
rural
definitely
white
got something,
Indiana
right?
and black and
He's got
Latino
something, but he
neighborhoods
loves
in
the countryside.
Chicago.
Look at the
Two
painting
places
behind
that I
him.
think
He's
for many
like,
of us that we think of as a
he's
world
country, yeah.
apart,
No worries, man.
share many of the same hurts. So we've got working class people across race that are hurting right now. And working class people across race were hurting during the financial crisis. And there was one leader who especially stood up. In that moment, it was California AG Kamala Harris, who went toe-to-toe with the big banks, and she secured a $20 billion settlement to help save people's homes. Meanwhile, in Donald Trump, we've got a candidate who does not deliver for the working class, who doesn't even respect the working class, and does everything in his power to divide the working class. Nearly 40% of households in this country bring home less than $50,000. Not people, households, 40%. These are Black households, Latino households, Native, Asian, and white. There is nothing that the right wants less than going up against a working class coalition that is Black, Latino, Native, Asian, and white, because that coalition wins. That's why they're hell-bent on picking off working class voters in places like I grew up, especially white voters. But in 2020, 32% of Joe Biden's 81 million votes, 32% came from white people who didn't go to college. Working class white people were a big part of the coalition that defeated Trump in 2020 and are going to be essential to doing it again in 2024. So I just say to all the white dudes on this call, like, be organizers. Go organize your family. Go to your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors, and talk to people and have hard conversations and make it clear who's going to show up for the working class. Thank you.
Thank you so much, George. Really, really appreciate you for being here. Our next speaker is a legendary legislator who has left a historic mark on Congress over his 42-year career as a representative. Congressman Steny Hoyer is the most senior member of the House Democratic Caucus, representing Maryland's 5th Congressional District, and it is my honor to welcome the former House Majority Leader, Steny Hoyer, to speak.
Hi, Ross. Thank you so much for including me. This has been so inspirational for me to hear all these people talking about why this election is so important. And, I'm going to call this White Dudes for America. And therefore, they are white dudes for Kamala, because Kamala supports this country, its constitution, its declaration, its principles, and its promise. And that's why we all need to get together and support Kamala Harris for America and for American people. Last week, Vice President Harris shared her vision for, and I quote, a future where every person has the opportunity not to just get by, but to get ahead. And that's what she stands for, and that's why we're for her. She needs our help, however, to deliver on that vision.
Kamala doesn't stand
we
for
need to
jack
sign
shit.
up to volunteer, as so many people on this call have already said, whether it's making telephone calls, knocking on doors, talking to your neighbors, doing postcards to your friends, whatever that is for you, feeling effective.
Right,
on
AJ,
behalf
working class
of
now
Kamala,
equals minimum
which
wage
of
or
course
less.
is being
Our
effective on behalf
pockets were
of
fat under
America and
Trump,
its principles
under
that we
Kamala,
talked
under
about.
Biden. I don't know about you
can
guys, but it's a
contribute
struggle.
by going to White Dudes for Harris.
Jerry Nadler will definitely make an appearance.
By the way,
for sure.
Ross, I've been listening to everybody, and I listen to those.
Isn't this
folks
really
who are gonna,
racist? Only white
donate
dudes can support Harris. What if we've
$50,000
got a
and
little
match,
bit of a
others who
mix?
contributed?
What if we're
Well,
a
I'm
little
going to
bit
match
mixed,
one of those 50,000 because it's for our country, not just for Kamala. Kamala is a way we make our country's values real.
It's
and
for
to
your
keep
tax
them
write-off.
in place.
Don't
This is a
BS. It's
historic
for your
moment that
tax.
testifies to the strength of American
And because you
democracy
feel like you've done something.
and to our unity and determination to protect that democracy. So critical to my 3 children, my 3 grandchildren, my 4 great-grandchildren, my wife's 10 grandchildren. That's what this election is about. Joe Biden is absolutely correct when he says this election is about the soul and of America and the character of America, led by, or we're opposing a person who has neither soul nor character. It is crucial that we stand behind Vice President Kamala Harris in that effort. Whether as a prosecutor, California State Attorney General, United States Senator, or Vice President of the United States, she has shown herself to be of somebody of character for the people. And she has, with Joe Biden, not just promised things for the people, an agenda for the people, a vision for the people. She has delivered for the people at a time of great crisis in their lives, in their families, in their jobs, caused by the pandemic. She and Joe Biden.
Okay, it's over, guys. So Kamala's already fixed everything. She delivered it.
Sorry about that. My daughter.
Right.
Did I miss anything?
Kamala's been
Joe
helping.
Biden
Terribly important.
didn't promise, as the previous president did, that they were going to deliver infrastructure dollars, investment for the people every week, every month, every year. Never did they do it. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris delivered an agenda that is creating millions of jobs over the next decade. And then they delivered on science and chips.
This is what your mind looks like when it's being fried.
In the 21st century and have the kind of assets that we need to create an economy that gives people a quality of life that they want. She's a staunch defender of our democracy and our values of as Americans. One of the most important values, the Republicans talk a lot about.
That'd be on the money,
but
man.
Don't deliver, and that is freedom. As a matter of fact, freedom to Republicans is what they want you to do. Freedom for Democrats is what you, the people, want to do. I'm confident that she will lead us to the triumph over a Republican candidate determined to undermining our democracy at every turn. As so many on this call have said, who better to beat a convicted felon than a former prosecutor? Who better to campaign against a man whose only major policy accomplishment was cutting taxes for the wealthiest in America?
Really trying to frame
someone who has spent the past 4 years, as I've just said,
she isn't even voted in as the candidate
in
yet,
America.
Right, AJ?
No. She won't be voted in at all.
Have they nominated her yet?
Who better to counter a voice of division, demagoguery, and discord than a voice who speaks for unity, civility,
unity?
Truth? That's why my friend Kamala Harris
need to be so
my strong endorsement and the strong endorsement of every Democrat in the Congress of the United States, as far as I can tell. And why I urge all of us to support her as well in supporting our country, its values, its
look how sunk the eyeballs are. It's from not getting enough
and opposing someone
beef in the diet
who led a treasonous effort to overthrow.
It's racism, Stabby. Sorry, I just saw your chat. Yeah.
Kamala Harris has
white dudes for
the
Harris
torch for these past.
It's sexist and it's misogynistic.
Now
and racist.
Ross, it's time for us to help her carry it across the finish line in November. Joe Biden has inspired us all.
Yeah, let's not forget when
and Kamala Harris
she'll lose the debate. There's no doubt.
If we all do our part, I have no doubt that in 99 days, Ross, we will celebrate a victory, not just for Kamala Harris, but a victory for America, a victory for Americans.
This guy's
in a very
brain
real way
is so
fried for our global community. Thank you for allowing me to participate. I've been inspired.
Thank you so much, Congressman.
The global community.
Thank you so much for that generous match. You guys heard it. Congressman Hoyer is in for $50,000. We got to get that match. So please go click that donate button.
He's in for $50,000.
Our next guest has played a huge part in a lot of
our
lives
next guest.
He doesn't really need an introduction, so I'm just gonna take this moment
for fuck's sake. What's wrong with this guy?
Mark Hamill to speak.
Oh my God! Here we go
okay. Well, listen, I'm here for one reason.
Did Lucy remember to turn his
and that is the Biden-Harris administration was the most successful legislative administration.
Totally, man.
First, since LBJ in 2 years. Now, in 3.5 years, the most legislatively successful administration since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. They always say this is the most important election of our lifetime. I've heard that, since I first voted in the 70s. But
it's a shame that
never has it been more true. When I think one thing about Trump is he tells you what he's going to do. He takes credit for getting rid of Roe v. Wade and said everybody wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade.
Screwing you over.
So when I meet people, I'm a working actor. I think more recently, I'm much more like a professional selfie taker. I take selfies all the time in the airports, in the supermarkets.
The professional selfie takers.
Always
what we
selfies.
need.
And I ask them, you don't have to tell me who you're going to vote for. Are you registered? That's the most important thing. I saw a statistic. It was on the internet, so take it with a grain of salt, that 40 million registered Democrats didn't vote in 2020.
I need some more nicotine. I'm going to be right
Which
back.
is astonishing. I tell people, go to iwillvote.com.
Hold on, he's saying that not enough
It's very
voted.
simple. You can go to their website. You can find
Hold
out
on, guys.
where your polling place is. You can
What
get
is the mental gymnastics
access
today?
to mail-in
Not enough
ballots.
voted.
But you've got to vote.
Wasn't it
You've
81
got to
million
vote.
votes?
And I'm going to keep my
But only white
remarks
dudes are voting. That's only one
short
demographic.
because I've agreed with pretty much everything
Stop
that
Asian
has been
hate.
said
Black Lives Matter.
in the last couple of hours.
This is racist.
But it's just so important. It's what I tell people is you don't have to read all 900 pages.
We need a commander in
Google
selfies.
Project 2025. It's more terrifying than anything that Edgar Allan Poe or Stephen King ever wrote. The idea of firing 50,000 civil servants and putting in loyalists who, the prerequisite is you have to believe that the 2020 election was stolen. It's just unthinkable that they're so forthcoming with what they want to do. Get rid of the Department of Education completely. They're going to try and remake what we know as democracy into an autocracy. It's no surprise that he idolizes Viktor Orban and
this is a dumb rant. This is a really
the dictators
rant.
of the world. That's what he yearns.
This guy
to be.
should stay out of
Again,
politics.
he said it out loud.
Go learn how to
that he
grow
wants
something.
to be a dictator
Go learn
from
how
day
to build
one.
something.
So never
fuck
has
out
it
the
been more
kitchen,
important
man.
for us to stand up to
What a fucking moron.
his mental illness and vote for Kamala in
Trump has a mental
2024.
illness because
So,
this guy thinks that enough people didn't vote for Biden,
talk
so
to your
get out
friends.
and vote.
Find out if they're registered. Tell your
That
friends
makes
to
sense.
ask their friends and so on, like a chain letter, to make sure
Yeah,
they
like a
know
chain letter. Let's do chain letters.
how easy it
Chain
is
letters.
to make their voices heard.
In 2024.
I don't see the donate button on my screen, but as soon as I get off this call,
But if
I'm going to
he
go
did
and
see
donate.
it, he would donate.
When I signed up for the call, I also looked for a donate button. Or maybe I'm just, I'm technically challenged, but I'll get my daughter to help me out with that. So I wish you all the best. Thank you
Boomer
for
alert.
having me. And
It's worse than
let
me.
us get out there and make sure that Kamala is our next president. Thank you.
No, let's not. Let's make sure
Thank
Kamala
you
is.
so much,
no.
Mark. That was great.
This guy. Where
yeah,
do they
I'm just-
find
it's
these
been-
people?
It was such an
This is the
honor
kind
to
of guy
have
that,
you.
like,
Our next guest is
this is the kind of guy that
incredible
hires you to
author,
change his oil.
academic, podcaster Scott Galloway.
No, this is the
a
kind of guy who
professor of
hires you
marketing
to
at the
put up his
NYU
Christmas
Stern
lights.
School
You know what I
of
mean?
Business. He's an entrepreneur. His podcast, blog, and YouTube channels are some of the biggest on the internet, reaching millions. I personally listen to a few of his podcasts. Please welcome author, entrepreneur, and internet celebrity Scott Galloway.
Thanks very much, Ross. My name is Scott Galloway.
Who's this one?
I consider myself a man,
Racist.
and I think my job is to provide
Racist.
and protect, and the way that manifests in this age is to ensure that Vice President Harris is in the White House. I'll touch on three things. First is the economy. I don't think the Democrats have done a great job messaging around the economy. Here's the data. Since 2020, real GDP growth across the G7 has averaged 3.5%. Germany and the UK laggards less than 2. Real GDP growth since 2020 in the United States is
Don't talk about growth, talk about the inflation.
It has been double.
Here's a new one, Ryan. This one is
GDP
fucked.
growth across the G7.
What's going on here?
Well, the economy's running hot. That must mean
saying
there's terrible
the
inflation.
economy. He's going to tell us about the economy.
Is the lowest across the G7. So let me get this. The Goldilocks chocolate
Inflation
and peanut
is
butter
the lowest
combination
across
of the
G7.
strongest growth with the lowest
Compare it
inflation.
year on year. Why
What
are
is
we
the result
comparing
of that?
to another year? What?
Million new
Like, I
jobs
mean, why are we
created in
comparing to the
3.5
present
years.
in
More
another
jobs
location?
than have been created in any 8-year
We've got more jobs.
tenure of any presidency. Fun fact, China has shed $6 trillion in market capitalization in the last 5 years. The S&P in the United States has doubled. There are 195 nations, 194 of them all wish they were the United States. The Biden-Harris administration has put on
he
a
comes over and knocks on your door and asks you to change the oil for him. He's that kind of guy. I didn't mean like actually put it up on the list.
In modern history,
he's that kind of liberal. You know, he knocks on your door and says, "I see you have a." He wants to borrow tools.
$60 billion a year, approximately 10% of our military budget.
Wants to borrow a
We
lawnmower.
have taken out a third of Russia's kinetic power. We have defanged the ridiculous notion that this was a ferocious army, and we have given Xi real pause not to invade Taiwan. And most of that money has come back to red states, to manufacturers and weapons suppliers. This is the greatest investment in the history of the modern economy. As a Jew, a proud Jew,
Did anyone catch that? What?
By the events of October 7th, quite frankly, I was very disappointed in some of the rhetoric coming out of the far left of my own party. I haven't become a one-issue voter, but I'm very concerned about Israel. And here's the bottom line on Biden-Harris as it relates to Israel. No one has been a more steadfast ally of Israel than Biden-Harris. Within days of October 7th, the Hamas was hoping to inspire a multi-front war. The Biden-Harris administration immediately deployed 2 carrier strike forces and told Iran and its proxies to sit the fuck down. Nobody has been stronger on Israel than Biden and Harris. And all this tough macho talk about the notion that finish the job. Well, guess what? In addition to winning this war, which we will, we need an enduring, lasting peace. And who do you trust to figure out the nuance and the diplomacy of a lasting peace in the Middle East? Secretary Blinken, Secretary Austin,
the
Taiwan
Harris. Stuff was bullshit. Now he's just throwing this into appease the current zeitgeist
in the Middle East. Finally, I raise
what you
two
don't
boys,
support Hamas.
I'm raising 2 men. Whether we want it or not, the president is the premier role model for young men and women around the world. I am entirely certain a President Harris would never.
So Biden was our role model.
I'm even more certain that a President Harris would not have sex with a porn star and then try and cover it up illegally with campaign funds.
She'd
just give head to everyone.
She's just an escort.
President
as long as
Harris
you got money, she'll do whatever you want.
Marriage and be a wonderful mother for all of those like me out there whose stepmother played a wonderful role in their lives. She is a wonderful mother. I invite all of you like me who have spent the majority of their life talking the talk but not walking the walk to decide if this is a principle, not just an opinion. And the difference between the two is to sacrifice. So I want to do that right now. There's different ways to contribute your time, your treasure, and your talent. I'm going to match that $50,000, or I'm going to put up a $50,000 match, but I'm a selfish person. I need something in return.
Did you say
one of my
person?
heroes is on this call, and I'm asking this hero to turn on his mic and say the following in exchange for $50,000, and that is the following. I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
Jesus Christ, man.
I'm waiting, Mark. I'm waiting.
This is cringe. Cringe.
Can someone unmute Mark?
Mark forgot how to turn his microphone back on. This has happened with every single person, man. This is hilarious.
I'm Luke Skywalker, and I'm here to rescue Mr. Galloway.
Happens to celebs also.
You got it.
Very much. I'll finish where I ended. My name is Scott Galloway. I teach at NYU. I'm a man. We protect and we provide.
I'm a man.
That is what we do.
Just thanks for letting us know. We couldn't tell your gender.
Scott.
You know what that made me think of? Tyler Durden is looking at
appreciate both of y'all.
The underwear model is like, is that what a man's supposed to look like?
We are about $28,000 away from hitting 3.5 million.
Here comes
so
Lispy
please keep hitting the
McLispington with
donate
his
button.
super gay man
And if you're
bun.
inspired
He's got a
by,
beard, so he's a real
Mark
man.
Hamill coming back on again for us. Hit
He
that
serves
button.
lattes, bro.
Up next, it's my honor
He's
to introduce
borrowing a
Congressman
screwdriver.
Eric
He's
Swalwell,
borrowing.
who
You know what I mean?
represents
He's the guy who wants to borrow the
15th Congressional
WD-40.
District in
He's
California.
got to take my order at
He
Starbucks.
co-chairs the House Democratic Steering Committee. He
Yeah,
sits on
I can
both
see it.
the House Committee on Homeland Security and House
That's a
Judiciary
full-on list.
Committee.
That's like an overbite
Representative,
list.
thank you so much for being with us.
Is it that
He
or
looks
is
like
it-
he's got
it's all
is it
you.
a gay lisp?
Oh, my pleasure.
It's like
and
a-
really thank
yeah.
all of you
Oh,
for,
man. Is
for
this
doing this.
Swalwell?
I represent the East Bay. That's where Kamala Harris grew up. But I'm a son of a cop. I'm a brother to cops. And
My
when I
girlfriend
worked
was a
in the
Chinese
same
spy.
prosecutor's office where
Yeah, you
Kamala
fucked
got
a
her
spy?
start, I worked with cops. So I know tough.
You worked
And
with
you know who's
spies.
tough?
I'm on the House Intelligence
It's Kamala
Committee, and my
Harris.
girlfriend was a spy,
And so
nothing
she's
happened to
tough.
me.
She's real.
I never traded secrets for
She's
sex.
ready. She's smart. And something that we're all starting to really see that I really like is that she's fun. And she's a person who can be serious without taking herself too seriously. But what I was hoping to impart on everyone
This is
tonight in my
fucking
experience of like telling the story
ironic.
of why Kamala and not
Have you got brain cancer
the
yet, Tom?
past president is a few things. And so I wanted to just give you kind of three things that we all can do. And something that I found helpful in
Stabby
my
say?
messaging are
I
these three
said,
things.
you
And
remember Stuart
if there's
Smalley bit
anything
from
that
this mill?
us
I'm
white
smart
dudes
enough,
like
I'm
to
strong
do,
enough, and gosh
it's to have
darn
a
it,
good hot
people
take.
like me.
So as it relates to the debate that Donald Trump said he was going to be a part of, I encourage everyone to use the word dodge. Use dodge instead of backsliding or getting out, because dodge brings up the time that
You
he
can dodge
dodged
wrench,
the
you can
Vietnam
dodge
War
ball.
with bone spurs. It takes our focus exactly where we want it to be. His cowardly feet.
Why they turned the comments
Also
off?
has alliteration.
They turned that
and
chat off.
Just
Okay.
say it plainly.
Probably
Donald
because they were
Trump
getting
is
dragged.
dodging the debate.
That's why we're here,
Donald
so people
the
can
Dodger.
actually comment.
Also, let's talk about Trump's age. Don't say 78-year-old. Let's say almost 80, because he is. And this guy, for the last 2 years, has wanted to make
Joe
this race
Biden's like
entirely about age.
80.
You know
man.
what, pal?
Joe Biden's
You got it.
How old's
We aren't
Kamala?
running against
How
Donald
old's
Trump. We
Kamala?
are running
I don't have a
against
clue.
Donald Trump. He's an old man with old
Somebody
ideas.
said probably
and we
should
should say
stand
that
with
every day
Cook.
as we communicate what he threatens to all of us. And finally, in your messaging, as you talk to
Did you
neighbors,
hear that?
as you
He
knock
came
on
with
doors,
something
and I don't
then.
want us to forget
Donald
about knocking
Trump.
on doors. We can put our hot takes out there on social media, but nothing beats,
You think
especially in the
Fang
swing
gave him
states,
that idea?
eyeball to eyeball at someone's doorstep, making your case.
Sure.
And so my first rule always in messaging is tell me a story or bore me. Tell your story as to why you're supporting Kamala.
What
and
is
why
these
we can't
really
have Trump.
weird
I'll tell you
things
from
they
being
come
a
out with now?
prosecutor and seeing
Tell me a
people
story
come
or
through
bore me. The other
district
one said
attorney's
he was
office.
selfish, but he's selfish.
Donald Trump bragging
So
that he's
fucking
going to
doublespeak.
beat Kamala Harris so easily. I've seen other people think that. Other sexual predators
Right.
and rapists think that.
What?
So to Donald Trump, I say,
Huh? Is he talking
if
about
you want to
Biden?
find out how this movie ends, you should go ask them,
What?
but you're going to have to go to a prison to do it. So bring your own story and personalize it to you. People like to repeat something that made them smile. So tell me a story or bore me. Finally, I think about my
I'll
three
never
little
forget it,
kids
Stabby.
and
No,
what we can
never,
do to
man.
make sure they don't
This
have to
guy
suffer
is
the
a
real
complete piece of shit.
consequences of Donald Trump.
Heath on Twitter
Recently,
said,
I
imagine
walked
one of
in a
these
parade
plagues
in
on
my
your
in the town of
doorstep.
Dublin,
I would
California.
love
We
it.
always pass out rubber duckies.
Oh, I'd
in every
absolutely love
parade.
it.
It's the
98
first
days
parade
until the election.
that
It's crept
I
up on
asked my
us. It's
children to
really. I
join
thought
me.
it was more.
And so I had my 7-year-old and my 5-year-old.
It's under 100
They're
days
working
now.
the parade. They're
Yeah.
passing out duckies. And my 7-year-old Nelson walks
You gotta
up
fucking.
to a little girl to give her a little rubber ducky with the campaign logo on it. And as she hands the girl the ducky, this older guy standing behind her, who I think is probably her dad, looks at my son
What a
and
story.
he says, "We're for Trump." And my son looks at me
Oh, and it just
and then he
killed
looks
you,
back
didn't
at
it?
the guy and he said, "Who's Trump?" And I think that is what is really right in front of us. We have a chance to make sure that our kids
What?
never, ever know
Uneducated.
or live
Huh?
through the worst policies of Donald Trump. For the
So
rest of
this
us,
is what
sure,
China wants.
we won't be able to forget what he's done, but we can really save our children. But I also want you to know that we can
Save
talk
our
less
children?
and less about Donald Trump. We've had MAGA idiots and violence for so long now. You may think that that's going to be with us forever.
We're idiots
We're wrong.
now.
It won't be. He's had an
Not
evil
just maggots,
charisma
we're
and
idiots.
a 14-year-long political ad in the television show that he ran. But I promise you, if we beat Trump in November, we will finally have extinguished this MAGA madness forever. Because you can't just be an asshole and ride to be the GOP nominee.
Whoa.
If you don't
Heath
believe
on X
me,
said ignorance is
just
strength
ask
and
Ron DeSantis.
and war is peace.
So let's do this.
Freedom is
99
slavery.
days to go, dudes.
Yeah.
Let's
Freedom
have
is
some
slavery,
fun, though.
1984.
Something I learned in
Exactly.
sports growing up.
Double
The
speak.
team that always
He just
has
called
the most fun
the majority.
wins, and I'm having a lot of fun tonight.
He just called
99
everyone.
more fun
What was
days to
it?
go.
He just
Thank
painted
you
a big
all.
target on himself. We're all
Thank you,
fucking
Congressman.
asshole,
Let's
idiot,
go.
violent
Also,
fools or something.
offline, I'd love to find out where you got that shirt. It's awesome. You know, our
Oh, where'd you get that
next
shirt,
guest
dude?
as a
Fucking
scene
awesome,
stealer
bro.
in Lioness, House of Cards, Jack Ryan, in almost
How you
30
feeling today?
years,
Fabulous.
a successful working actor. And though he often plays a villain, he's an all-around good guy, is active in supporting services for our elders, making our country better. Through his advocacy, he's been able
Talk
to
about
ensure
the border.
critical legislation
Talk about
to
inflation.
help give older adults and caregivers the support they need
We don't
in
talk
their
about those
communities
things
across
in
the country.
the
Please
Democrat
help me
white-only
wish a
club.
warm welcome for actor and activist Michael Kelly.
Imagine that guy was trans. That would be even funnier.
Thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Ross. Thank you, Brad, for having me. It's a real honor to be with all you dudes. What's up, dudes and dudettes? I see you, Aaron.
Okay, dude. It's white dudes for Harris. You got our
it's a real
attention.
honor to be here, honestly.
Stabby had a good one.
I
He
have
said,
such
I'm surprised they
admiration
didn't
and
get a white
respect for
man to
all
host
of
this
you
white dudes for
guys
Harris.
who spoke tonight. I'm blown away by what's happening and the 150,000 people jumping on this. This is special, man. Over $3 million raised for something that we all believe so strongly in. It's so easy to get behind this woman, and the fire and the
Montel
What are we getting behind
her
throughout the
too.
country. You feel it, man. It's a big.
Just explain to me, what are we getting behind with
and it's
Kamala?
emotional
What's
for
the
all of us.
policy
I'm
change that
just
she
so
really
thrilled
wants?
to be
It's going to
here.
be an
So,
open border.
yeah,
It's going to mean
like Josh
inflation.
said,
It's
smash
going to
the button,
mean,
man. Let's take it to
you know,
formula.
what exactly?
Let's
Are
go
we?
crazy.
Is
Let's
anyone
raise a ton
bringing
of
the
money.
goods
This is
on
such a great cause. I want to say a
the real
special
difference
thank
the
you
Democrats are going to
to,
make? They're going to
Governor
do what
Tim
to tax?
Walz. That was
They're not
man,
they're not
that
talking
was
about any of that. It's
inspiring
all
as hell.
just
What
this is all
everyone's
just
saying is
fluff.
inspiring, but man, that dude blew me
So
away.
Big
inspiring.
old fluffing.
First and foremost, I think
Bring
it's
in the
so
fluffer.
important to say we all need to get engaged. Like everyone's saying, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends. I'm from the South. I'm a Georgia boy. I live in New York now, but I have lots of friends down south.
Hey, up.
And as you would well imagine, a lot of those folks are on the other side of the aisle. Just talk to them. Tell your story and hear their
Try and
story.
convince
And
them.
try to
Tell a story. Ask
try
to borrow the
to-
lawnmower.
to
Ask them if they can do your oil. They love
switch them
that.
over to your side. You know, I hope
Yeah,
that
switch them over. Ask if you can look at their guns.
Galloway, I'm a huge fan.
Heath
of
on
yours,
X said,
buddy,
so are
and
they
I
planning
hope
on
that
switching
you
out
will
Kamala?
take
This
those
is
3
complete
points,
fluff. Nah,
that you
I don't
talked about
think
and
I don't think they're
blast
going to
them out
switch her
an
out.
email to all of us because you
But
were
when she
so good,
debates
man,
Trump,
and
we'll really
so
see it because,
on point with that messaging.
well, she was up for that debate, but
and
they
those are
didn't
really
actually lock
important
her in
things
as
to tell
the
folks. But that's what
the
this is about. It's
elect,
about
as their
communicating with
selected
your
one.
neighbors, because
So,
this is it. Democracy's on the ballot.
so you hear this?
I
We got to hit up our
truly
neighbors and we
believe
got to
that.
tell them
I've
to
been
be
saying it for a long time. And
a
people are
white
like, "Oh,
dude
you're
for
a fatalist."
Harris.
I'm not. I
That doesn't
believe
that
it.
sound
Democracy's on the
incredibly
ballot.
racially
And this
loaded if you
is,
go and hit up your neighbor and say, "Hey,
as
fellow white
consequential of an
dude,
election, I think
we
is
got to
what
vote
we
for
will likely
this."
see in our lifetime.
Yeah. Just imagine if
That
just imagine if we were
sounds.
hosting a white
For
dudes
me,
for Trump stream.
I'm
What would
not
happen?
just doing this for myself. I'm doing
Mm.
this for the women in my life. I'm doing
Mm.
this for my mother, for my wife, for my daughter, for my sisters, and for all their daughters.
You're doing
These
it
women,
for the service. When you
they need
reach
us
Georgia and you
right
can go
now.
around to your neighbor's
It
house
is
and
up
you ask
to
them to
us.
check your truck.
They're going to
Sorry,
be there on the
EV.
day.
Yeah, it's
up to
EV.
us to be there, and it's up to us to get other white dudes to be there. Because, like everyone said
Make sure it's not
earlier,
a Tesla.
it's the white dudes who let us
Because
down
now Tesla's fair
in
vote.
2016. It's the white dudes who typically let us down there. It's up to us, man. We got to get out there.
Nah,
We
we were talking
gotta
about he's
talk
going
to
to
our
Uber down
brothers,
there.
and we got to get the message out. This is too important. So That's all I gotta say. I like the selfie idea too. I'm sure I don't take nearly as many selfies as you do, but I take a fair share of selfies.
What
and
are
that is
these
a
people
fantastic
saying?
idea, and I'm going to take
What
that
does it
for our
mean?
camel, and I'm going to use it every single time.
I don't
You
even
said it.
fucking understand this.
iwillvote.com. That's
I'm
what
losing
every
IQ
person who takes
points
a
as
picture
longer
of
this
me.
goes on.
Why are we taking selfies for this? What the fuck? Someone start the brat meme. Start the brat meme now. I want to hear someone talk about the
Love
brat.
you all. Thank you so much for having
Bring
me.
it
It's a
in.
real honor.
Oh yeah,
Trump is
Thank
attacking
you.
a woman. No,
I
the
also
chatter's
wanna
got it
say,
here. Heath,
y'all,
Heath, you're
I
on the
just saw
money.
that we have over 60,000
That's what they're gonna do. Yeah.
individual contributions that have been made.
He's
since
attacking
we've
a
been on
black
this.
woman.
That's incredible. We have over 166,000
That was incredible,
people
guys.
who tuned in to watch this live stream. That's also just so incredible and honestly super inspiring. I'm having an
Super
awesome
inspiring.
time. And our next guest is gonna bring even more fire. He is one of the biggest names in music. Lance Bass is a singer and actor. We also know him as a member of
This is
NSYNC
fire.
and a trailblazing LGBTQ activist.
Pop star.
More importantly, Lance's TikTok with VP Harris has racked up over 38 million views in the last 48 hours.
There
Like
you go.
all of us, he's ready
Enjoy.
to say bye to Donald Trump. I can't believe I read that. Please welcome Lance Bass to speak.
It's
Thanks for
here.
having me, Ross. Yeah,
The
I
brat
shot that
meme is
video a
here.
month ago, and I had no idea how relevant it would be today. So thank God. I mean, thanks for having me, everybody. I have my daughter here because I just wanted her to see all of these amazing faces and be a part of democracy because she's one of the reasons I am doing this today. I am doing this for her future and my son's future. As a diabetic, as a gay married man with children.
Totally
from
agreed,
IVF,
Stabby.
Co-chair of the
Complete
Environmental Youth
letdowns.
Association. Everything I am.
That
is
fireplace
opposite
is
of what the
never
Trump
gonna get
campaign
lit.
Stands for.
It's gas.
And
I
that is
bet.
why I want to be heavily involved.
It's never gonna get
you know,
used.
this year. Like many of you on this call,
Doesn't
I
matter if
wasn't
it's
very
gas or
hopeful
whatever.
for
It's
this
never gonna get
election
used.
and the future of our country.
Why is everybody's camera
and this
shaking, man?
exciting turn of events in the last few weeks has really changed that for me and so many people.
Why has he got a
and to see how
Casio keyboard in the back?
invigorated everyone
Isn't he
is.
super
It's
rich?
been
Wouldn't he?
so
Shouldn't he have something more
incredible. I'm
expensive?
so hopeful right now. You know, I met Kamala Harris over 15 years ago at dinner, and I just remember once I
You
shook her
meet her
hand,
at
I
dinner
told
with
her,
Montel?
I feel like I just met the future president of the United States. And I cannot believe we are here today. I'm not
It's
saying I'm
fucking
psychic,
mind-blowing,
but I
huh?
have to be a little
Heath on
psychic.
X said, so he bought the kid,
But I've been
trafficked a
thinking
woman
a
to
lot
carry the
about
kid.
this upcoming election.
Holy
and why it's
fuck.
so
Holy
important
shit.
to support Vice President Kamala
Isn't
Harris.
this guy,
As a white
isn't
guy,
this guy
it's
like
easy to think these issues don't affect
gay?
us directly, but that's exactly
Yes.
why we need
Yes, he
to
is.
pay attention.
So
Harris's
why is
leadership
he?
and her
Hold on. What
commitment
the
to
fuck,
justice
man? What
are
do you mean he
exactly
trafficked a
what we
woman?
need right
Did he?
now.
No.
She's faced so
They
many
were just
challenges
asking
and
a
has
question like
always
making
stood
fun of
up
the
for
dude.
what is right.
Oh, okay. I
And
thought
this
someone
is
actually
a
had something to go on.
pivotal moment for our country, and supporting her means pushing for a future that is fair and inclusive. And let's
I
not
don't
forget the
understand how
Supreme
anyone
Court.
appears that
We
way
would
in
not
the
have many
face
marriage right now if
without.
it wasn't for the Supreme Court we had.
Oh, he's
If that was up
married.
to them
He
today,
says he's straight.
there's no way I'd be able
No, he
to
says he's
be
married
married
to
to
a
the man I
dude.
love, or probably not have
He's
the
married
kids
to a
that I
dude, and
have.
he why has he got a kid then?
And for us, this isn't just
They
about
adopted
politics.
kids,
It's
I
about
guess. They
recognizing
paid for
our
them.
privilege.
Oh, he's
and the
got
role
multiple
we can play
children.
in making
Yeah.
things better. And we need to back leaders who are committed to real change and equality. And Harris represents those values. And
Hold on, real
supporting
change
her
and
is
equality
more
again.
about, is more than just her. It's about standing up for justice and fairness. And we have a responsibility to use our voices.
How
and our
is it open
influence to
border
help
justice
shape
and fairness?
the kind of society we want to live in. So let's come together. Let's support Kamala Harris. We can make a difference by organizing, talking to our friends and
It's
family,
fairness
making sure
to the
everyone
people that just
understands
want to
what
come
is
here and
at
work
stake.
jobs, man.
This is our
You know,
chance
the
to help
jobs
build a
that
more
Americans
inclusive
don't want to
future
work.
for everyone, and it starts with
Oh,
us.
yeah.
Like everyone has said,
Forgot about that.
this
Sorry.
panel has been incredible. I'm so honored to be here. I see so many familiar and friendly faces. Not only do I love you
I'm
for
getting creeped
your
the
body
fuck
of
out.
work, but you're just good people, and I'm just honored to be with you all. But you know, volunteer. Just please.
What
volunteer.
does
This
he
is the
do then?
perfect
Oh, he's a
opportunity to
musician.
teach your
Yeah.
kids about civics. You know, volunteer
Yeah,
as
he was
a
in one of
family, any level
the
that you
boy
can.
bands.
Make this fun for
He's a
them.
boy
And,
band, yeah.
and don't forget to send
I don't
all
really
your loved
understand.
ones
Again,
to
don't understand it.
vote.gov or iwillvote.com just to make sure that they're registered. So many people just forget, oh my God, I'm not registered. So, just make sure everyone is registered, talk to your loved ones.
Yeah, go and register for voting so they can do something.
Stories. And
guys,
they
can fuck around with it.
I believe in this. And I just appreciate every single person that is tuned in today and donating. So
Heath,
donate,
I
donate.
think it was in sync. I don't
Thanks
think it was
for having me,
Backstreet Boys. It was in sync.
Thank you so much, Lance. I think you win the award for second best Zoom background so far.
Well, if you only saw my husband here holding up a towel, because if you put it down, please. Perfect time for the sunset. So sorry about that.
Oh man, I love it. Thank you so much. Our next guest, Misha Collins, is an actor, advocate, and poet.
No comment.
He may be best known as one of the stars of the show Supernatural on the CW. Thank you for being here, Misha. Off to you.
Yet again. No, crap.
You'd think that after watching 50 people not unmute themselves, I would unmute myself, but I failed to do so. It's so exciting to be in a political Zoom call with a bunch of people and feel fired up and enthusiastic and optimistic and hopeful. It has not felt like that for a long time.
What are we getting enthusiastic about?
Just
I don't know yet.
soul to be.
I haven't heard it yet. No one's got to the point yet.
99.
Two and a half
we're
hours
getting
almost,
number here. We have
and I haven't
99
heard what we're being
days until the
enthusiastic
election.
We're deep in this
Also,
now. I
it has been
haven't heard any
99
policy or any
years,
actual pragmatic,
that the largest
objective
collection
points.
of white men
It's all
in America,
anecdotes of
the
shit.
record has been held for the last 99 years by the Ku Klux Klan.
Is this guy gay as well?
30,000 of them descended in 1925
Who's this one?
on
Does
Washington,
any in the
D.C.,
chat know?
and it is a
Stabby, who is
truly
this guy?
wonderful thing for us to be.
You guys know
unseating
everything. Look
the
at all the
Klan
donations
with
coming in, man.
our,
Like people
I don't
love
believe it
this.
here
I don't believe it.
tonight. We
I think it's
are,
fake.
it sounds like more than 5 times that number of people.
They don't
that
have
showed up,
anything. Yeah, that's the
to
point. Yeah,
this Zoom.
apparent.
So
All I
congratulations.
all I
of you
got out
for
of it
showing
is
up.
is like an open border.
When I first saw
and
the
they're
white,
suddenly changed their tune
dudes
on
for Harris
Hamas like a day after
byline, I
Netanyahu
thought, well,
arrived.
that's a
just
little
suddenly
cringy.
realized, like, get
And
an
I realized my
FBI
own
briefing.
bias,
Oh my god!
which is we hear about white
Change that
men
around, and
congregating,
then
and we think of tiki torches
what's this guy
and
saying?
AR-15s and
Heath on
the
next
Klan.
Tiki torch
And
and
I think it's
AR-15s?
a really beautiful opportunity for us to take
I don't watch.
back,
I don't watch
that
any TV. I
identity
don't watch
from
any
those
shows.
bands of bigots and misogynists, because they
Bigots!
don't define who
He's
we
dropping
are.
it. He's dropping the B bomb.
I just wanted to invite you for a second to join in a little thought experiment with me. Wouldn't it be great if at some point in the near future, an audio tape were leaked of some women engaging in locker room banter where they're saying something like, I hate to stereotype, but in my experience, white men, they tend to fight for democracy and access to healthcare and civil rights and human rights and environmental justice and economic equality and reproductive rights. And in my experience, white dudes tend to fight like hell to put women and people of color in positions of power and leadership. That's how I would love for all of us to be known in the future. I'm not going to take much time talking about the delta between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, because I think that we're all on the same page.
Heath from Mex said, did
We
a
all
dude on
know
a segregated Zoom call just call
how high
someone
the
else a
stakes
bigot?
are
And
here.
yes, I think so.
But
Yeah,
there are a
yeah,
couple of
he's
specific
calling us,
points
yeah.
that I wanted to raise. I remember back
He's calling us
in
out. We're bigots.
2016,
If you support Trump,
2017, having so
the
many
white dudes
conversations
only
with so many
call.
friends coming back from Thanksgiving or the holidays and reporting that they just can't talk to their MAGA relatives anymore. Their Trump supporting uncle in Pennsylvania, or their parents who
They can't talk anymore.
who had gone MAGA in Wisconsin. There so many of these
Gone MAGA.
conversations stop happening. And I would invite everybody listening right now to take this as an opportunity to revisit that thinking. A lot of people have already mentioned that people who vote for Donald Trump are not bad people for the most part. For the most part, they're people who've been, like Joseph Gordon-Levitt said, they've been conned into into thinking that this magic elixir that Donald Trump is selling is somehow going to magically bring them out of this economically disadvantaged situation that they're in. And we need to understand that a lot of those people just need to have frank conversations with people who are willing to listen and share. And
There we
I
go
would
again.
invite all of you to
Prepare
re-engage
yourself,
with those
everyone, for these conversations.
with your
That's the second
relatives
one
that you
now.
stopped talking to.
Talk to your neighbor.
Re-engage.
Okay, so try and recruit.
Follow again those friends from high school that you unfollowed on Facebook 5 years ago because you didn't want to hear their rantings anymore, and re-engage, because right now it's such an easy conversation to have. It's so black and white. And a lot of people are really single issue voters, and if you can break through to them, you can make a convert.
Voters.
I know a bunch of people who are like, I'm not going to vote Democrat because the Democrats, they were for vaccine mandates, and I'm just not cool with that.
You just vote for that. Oh, it's
when
the
you
easy
hold
way to
that up in
simplify things, isn't it?
comparison
But I think it's always been.
when
Anyway,
you
let's let
make
them talk. Let's hear a bit more.
contrast between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and clearly show the people that you're in conversation with that it is really a question of good versus evil, that it's a question of preserving our democracy or descending into autocracy, it becomes so much easier to persuade people. I mean, I think that in a sense, Mark Hamill,
you will avoid
to evoke
autocracy
you
by
again,
voting for the woman.
it's kind of like somebody
who's not
saying,
voted
I don't know,
being the
man. I
nominee.
think I'm just like Team Darth Vader because Luke Skywalker didn't have a
This
cool
guy has
mask.
very little to bring to the
It's
table. You
good
don't want to
versus
be with
evil,
him in
and
an
it's an easy
SHTF
conversation to
situation.
have.
He wouldn't be
So
able to
let's start
handle.
having those
I don't think one
conversations
night.
again. That's my
With the lights out.
invitation
Well,
to
maybe let's give him
everyone.
the credit. Maybe he'll make it
I
to
know
day
it's
two,
the
but
most
he's going to have
powerful tool that
serious
we have in our
situation.
arsenal. And one
Talk
more
about an arsenal,
one more
man. You have no
last
idea what you're talking about.
invitation
Stabby
here.
said, my grandma
Probably
stopped
most of
talking to
you
me
who
for
are on this
months
call have
because I
already
showed her the
donated.
laptop story. The truth hurts.
But
Sometimes
really
literally.
reflect.
Yeah, tell me about it, man.
Can
I
you
got
afford
a
to
liberal
donate
sister, and
anymore? Because
she's
it
fucking
will
crazy
be
with it,
the
man. She
best
doesn't want to hear about any of
investment
it.
that you can possibly make.
She says
An
she stays out
investment
of it to try
in
and
in the Harris
let's not bring all that
presidency
up.
is the
You thought this
best
guy was
investment
Canadian.
you could possibly make, and the return on those dollars will be innumerable.
The
Thank you
cognitive
all.
dissonance
It's
is
such an
huge.
honor
Yeah,
to
when
be
you
here.
challenge them, when you show them stats, that's why we post and share so many memes. Also, as a
Thank you
backlog
so
for me for
much.
ammo.
It was really, really good to have you on.
Oh, he's off now.
And thank
You
you
got to have a
for the
good folder of
impassioned plea at
memes when
the
you talk
end.
with a liberal.
We are
Or
at a
stuff
little
that's
over $3.5 million
stat-based.
raised.
Because they've
If
never got the stats, and you know what a
40,000
liberal's
folks on
meme
this
is like. It's just a
call
wall of text. They
donated
can't just have a chart or
$20,
something because
I think that
no
math
charts
works. I
exist.
think
Because the stats
$25.
don't
We
exist.
can get ourselves to 4.5 million. So help us get there. Please don't
What's
check
he
my
talking
math.
now?
We're just going with dude math right now.
Don't check my
Our
math,
next
guys.
guest is a former United States
I'm not
Senator,
good with
Doug
numbers,
Jones.
Fred.
He, as a U.S.
Here we go.
attorney, he took on the Klan and he won. And in 2022, President Biden tapped
This is
Senator
the party
Jones
of the Klan.
to help shepherd Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson's historic nomination.
I thought this is the Klan. I thought this was the Klan's broadcast.
Senator, we're so excited.
It's a whites only,
Yeah,
isn't
this is
it?
the whites only.
Thanks, Ross.
What's the Ku
appreciate
Klux
it.
Klan?
Now,
Are we on the wrong
before I
fucking
get to what I
stream?
was
Hold
gonna
on.
say,
Are we not watching the Ku
originally,
Klux broadcast?
I think here's the breaking news that I know it's late and y'all may have missed this, but this is breaking news and it's worth that $20 for all of you. The breaking news is Luke Skywalker is technologically impaired, challenged. That is New York Post kind of shit, guys. And that is worth a lot of money.
Shut the fuck up, please.
So donate right
Shut
now
up.
so
Shut
that
the
the
fuck
guy who
up.
saved the
Please
galaxy
stop
can
talking.
get some technology lessons. All right. So look, I know it's late, and I appreciate everybody that's on the call.
I can't
That's
believe
been on
I've
the
almost
call. I
put
really
myself through
appreciate
3
the
hours.
lineup of
Stop.
speakers has truly
I'm
been
getting
remarkable.
angry.
I'm not going to spend any time talking about my friend Kamala Harris, who I had the honor of serving with, who was a big buddy.
Yeah.
We used to cut up. She's just an
This is the new
incredible
Grand
person.
Master of the Ku Klux
You're
Klan.
here tonight because you know Kamala. I'm not going to talk about how weird J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are and how they are a threat to democracy.
What?
You are here because you know
Keith
that.
on
Stop
Nick
this.
said,
And you've heard
seriously,
incredible
Antifa
speakers
is the real
outlining
replacement
time
for
and
the
time
Klan,
again
and you were
all of the
100%
things. That's why
spot
we
on with
are
that.
all here. I want to go back to something said earlier by Josh Gad and Mayor and Governor Walz.
How could you
And that's
remember
about
what
hope.
anyone said earlier?
In the last week, folks, in the last week,
Apparently it
the
meant something.
enthusiasm that we have seen from one end of this country to the other is an absolutely.
Didn't they just have a meetup for
manifestation of
Kamala?
hope.
She couldn't even
It
get
is
100 guests,
truly-
couldn't even get 100 attendees
People
to
are
listen to her speak.
grasping on to hope, and I got to
Right?
tell you,
Like the
that's
hall was
something I can
empty,
tell
just
you
like
that I know
a
little bit about.
Biden
Because
speech.
I bet you, I'd be willing to almost guarantee that 80-90% of the people on this call, if you're interested in politics, you can remember where you were
89% of the people on this call hate
December the
everything that's
12th
happening about
of
it.
2017,
That's why they
when
had
the
to turn the
people
chat
of
off on their
Alabama,
own
after
screen.
a year of Donald Trump, sent a guy to the United States Senate who was pro-choice, who was pro-civil rights, who had stood up to the Klan to put 2 Klansmen in jail for the murder of 4 little girls in a church in 1963. It gave
Should have happened
everybody-
regardless.
That was not
It's crime.
me per se.
Has nothing to do
That
with
was
political
people
alignment.
coming together to reject extremism, to come together to reject a flawed candidate who also had his problems with women. It was coming together in unity. It was coming
This guy
together,
is telling
and
us
it was that hope.
he
And I'm
really
telling
is
you,
going
we
with the Ku
still
Klux
feel
thing, right?
that. Everywhere
we
I
need
go,
more
we have
people in the
people
chat
talking
trolling
about
the fuck
where
out of
they
these
were
guys. That's
and
exactly
the
what
hope
we
Yeah,
that
we
it gave
do.
him.
We do. We do.
Bring
We
in
Team
the
Coyote.
right-wing
If you're
trolls,
under the
please.
age of 30,
Because
the
that's what
odds
we need
are
right
you
now.
may have gotten involved in
We need to
politics
airdrop
because
groupers
of
into
that
there,
one
you know? We just
single
need to
election.
just drop
That
them in
is
there.
what's at stake here. That's what we're seeing in this. Because let's just be candid about this. We all thought that with the election of my friend Joe Biden. I've known Joe Biden for 46 years. He's one of the most amazing individuals I've ever had the honor of knowing. And he has been such an amazing president, the kind of president I always knew he would be from the first time I met him in law school in 1979. I always knew he would be a great president.
Fried, baked, and poached. This guy is fucking stupid.
when he was elected, when he and Kamala were elected, and people were
I don't know
excited.
how much longer Paul's going to be able to stand
Then
these
had
people.
January 6th, and all of a sudden all of that euphoria was a little bit shattered. We've never seen that kind of shit before. It was unbelievable what we were watching. And then for 48 hours,
Paul's going
we
to have
saw
to go
hope
take
again,
a break and
because we saw one Republican
things
after
outside.
another stand on the floor of the
I need
United
to-
States
I
Senate
need to
on
go
the floor of
break
the House
something.
Representatives and denounce Donald Trump,
crazy.
causing January 6th, causing the havoc that was created at that Capitol, causing the death.
Jan 6th. It moves
But it
fast,
lasted
man.
about
Okay, now we're on
48
Jan
hours.
6th. Okay.
And then all of a sudden, where we lost some of that hope, where it began to slide, is as great as this administration has been.
He said Joe is really
We
good friends
saw
with
Donald
Robert Byrd.
Trump getting indicted, but gaining popularity.
Yeah, he
Getting
was.
accused of all sorts of things and getting judgments in the hundreds of millions of dollars for a sexual assault or fraud, but gaining strength in that from folks like us who believe in democracy, who believe in freedom, who believe in the rights of individuals, equal rights of individuals. That can be pretty dejecting, no matter how you feel about your candidate and how you feel about what they're doing. That can be pretty dejecting to see the splits in this country and the other side being so
You're splitting it up.
dominated
It's white dudes
by a guy
only
who
for
wants
the
to be a
woman, and you
dictator
can't
on day
criticize her because she's black.
And so now,
Right?
all of a sudden,
You're the one splitting it
with
up.
one
It's
of
not
the most
fair.
selfless acts of courage, political courage, that we have seen surely in my lifetime.
Political courage.
And I'm probably older than most of you on here, but certainly in my lifetime, probably in generations, one of the most selfless acts of courage we've seen Joe Biden step aside. And all of a sudden, the excitement was there. People all of a sudden saw Kamala Harris in a different light. They saw her as the leader that we know she is. They saw her as a leader
story,
for the
bro.
future. They saw her as the hope
Fucking guy.
for the future.
This
That's
dude's so
what this
rad.
is about. All of this is
He's so
about
Julian.
the hope for the future, saving democracy. We all
He's
know
up a
it's
coconut tree.
on the ballot this November. And Kamala and whoever she picks as her running mate can save that hope, just like in 2017. The hope pushed us on the right side of history. That's where we can be once again this year. But it's going to take, as Governor
Now,
Ross
Ryan,
said,
I'm losing.
not just the hope.
I'm losing
not
sense
just the
of time.
enthusiasm,
What's going on
but
here?
executing a
What are we? I thought it was
got
on
to
Jan
channel
6.
that
What?
hope
I've
into
already
action.
like fallen
Your
into the
money
black
and the
hole, into the void.
$3.5 million we
And
raised
Ladies and
tonight
gentlemen,
is just
I'm
phenomenal.
afraid that my mind
But
is
there's more
just
to do.
completely
There's
going
got to be
numb
boots on
with
the ground. We've got to get people
gayness.
engaged. You know,
this is your commentary to
this Zoom
the
call's been
white
pretty
dudes for
amazing. 160
Harris.
some odd thousand people for white
We're
dudes.
trying to
That's
track.
incredible. And it's,
If anyone
it's
can
been
help
a
in the chat,
series
we're
of these
trying to bring you the
calls.
commentary. We're
Remember,
trying to bring you
in
the
my
news.
election,
But it's
the
just
black
He's
women
out.
who are the face
it's
of the
just
Democratic Party were
circular
credited
talk
with getting me over
in
the
a
top.
big,
He's out in the
I
big
weeds.
won
white
just about
liberal circle jerk.
20,000 votes or so.
The
out
guy's
of
so far out
1.2
in the
million.
weeds. I have
And it
no
was
idea
this
where he's
incredible
what he's
surge of
what he's
support
making, ladies
from
and
the
gentlemen.
black
But
women. Well, let me
we're
tell you
following.
something, guys. They're back and they are ready to
What?
roll, but they need help.
What?
And they need us. They need
help.
everybody to pitch in financially and with your time. And to volunteer.
You need our
Go-
money. We
go
know
to
that. Yes, yes, you
thewhitedudes.com,
need our money, of
hit
course.
that button.
Please
and
give
let's,
us your money.
And let's make sure that we can get more money than we've got already. And I want to say that this final
Okay.
thing, because I know it's late.
You're getting a
and
penny
I'm
out of
trying
me.
to stay within my time, even though very few people on the call have. That's okay. I was a senator. I'm used to that kind of crap.
If you really want to give
So-
your money to somebody, why don't you give it to the Firearms
Today,
Policy
I
Coalition?
read, I don't know if y'all read the
That's a good one.
historian Heather Cox Richardson, but if you don't, you should get her newsletter. She's really amazing. And she said something today that was, I think, just
Maybe said
incredible
this
because she
guy was
talked
the little
about
girl in
over
Poltergeist.
history of how we have in America would get kind
Exactly,
of complacent
Heath, yeah.
with democracy. And things would happen and we would start to slide.
Are they
and things
all
were happening and
actors?
people
Do you
were
have
in
to be
control,
an
but
actor
yet
to do
people would
this?
rise up. And they would protect
No,
democracy
they-
and strengthen it
Well,
even
I mean,
more.
I guess
And
politicians
she
are actors,
sees
so that's
that
pretty
in the
much what
moment
it's
that
at.
we are in
So
now.
I've been really waiting
Particularly
on
as
the
it
Hog
has
himself to make an
evolved
appearance
over
because
the
Ben
last
promoted
week.
it on here.
Hog's
Because
coming? Okay, I
democracy
can
I
hang
hope
is
out
the
for
Hog
always
is
a
coming.
work in progress.
Is Hog coming on?
That
I don't know. Let me
idea
go
that
check
Joe
his,
Hog
Biden
himself?
talks about
check his
is
Twitter.
always a work in progress.
That would make
and
my
we
night.
can never let up. Just like civil rights is a work in progress. Democracy
Donate
is a work in
$1. They'll
progress.
spend
And Heather
$5,
talked
and then they'll
about
use
the
your
fact that
information
people
to say that you
all week have been
donated
talking about how Joe Biden has
$25,000,
passed the torch
and you'll only
to a new
find out about it
generation.
later.
And clearly he has. But she made the point, and I think it's a good one that we've on this call all need to remember. He didn't just pass the torch to a new generation. He passed it to all
Oh yeah,
of
he
us.
passed the torch.
It is all our
Oh, yeah?
responsibility. We just can't
All right.
wait for younger folks. We
Didn't
can't
know.
wait for another generation. It is our responsibility, just like it is anybody else's, of all races and religions, of all ages, of all sexes. It doesn't matter your sexual identity. It doesn't matter. It is up to us.
It doesn't
And
matter
we've
what
gotta
your
do
name
everything it
is.
takes. It takes money. It takes time. More importantly, folks, it takes heart. It takes hope
Takes
and
a lot of heart.
inspiration. So as we wind
of hope.
down this late call and this telethon, do your part. Do your part, because your future depends on it. Your kids, your grandkids, America depends on it, and has been noted by a couple of speakers. There may be a few other countries around this world who also depends on what we do in America. And that's the beauty of this country. So thank you all. God bless you. This has been a great event. I am so honored to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Senator. And I just want to say it was an honor getting to hear from you because of your service, but also because we're basically wearing the same shirt right now. So again, thank you so much for being on. Next up, we have the hilarious and awesome Adam Conover. Adam's an actor, writer, comedian. He hosts the show Adam Ruins Everything. In 2023, he was a key leader in the Hollywood writers' strike, helping organize his community for fair wages. He also helped educate millions of folks on what was at
How's
stake.
those fair wages work
All
out
you,
with everybody
Adam.
losing their jobs?
Hi, everybody. I'll keep it quick because David Hogg's been waiting like 2.5 hours, and I'm pretty sure that guy has more important
the
stuff
Hog's
to do
coming.
Than listen to all of us.
Please,
it'll
please
be
bring me
pretty
the Hog.
hard
Did you
following,
just hear that? Did you
former
hear that? The
Senator
Hog,
Jones,
ladies
but,
and gentlemen, the
I'll
Hog
do
is
my
coming.
best.
Just
I'm gonna
hold
go
tight. He's going to be
we
making.
have a lot of Hollywood
That's
folks
why
on
I've
this
been in
call,
this
and I
for
want to
3 hours.
emphasize Hollywood is
boy.
an industry like any other, and I think sometimes our problems
It's another
help
actor,
reflect
isn't it?
the world.
Yeah.
Something that I've heard a lot as a white man
Holy weird.
in Hollywood is that I didn't get such and such an opportunity because they couldn't hire a white man. That's something that you hear now quite often. And when I'm told that, I tell the person, first of all, who told me that to fuck off, because that's racist and it's a lie when they tell you that. It's designed to divide people. But more importantly, the reason I tell them to fuck off is because I know that everybody else who is maybe being considered for that opportunity is the sort of person who just a little while ago would have not been considered for that opportunity because they were not a white man, except no one would have ever told them that to their face, right? Or they wouldn't even had a chance to go into the room and audition, or maybe they wouldn't even made it to Los Angeles, right? When people tell you that, they are expressing the fact that there's been a change in this country where, for once in the entire history of this country, white men don't get every single opportunity. And that's something that I'm proud of. I'm proud to be part of our industry and our country at a time when that's the case. And you know why that is? It's because I have something called solidarity, because I care about everybody else and everybody else's problems, and I stand up for their issues as much as my own. And that is why I'm so grateful to be a part of this call, because it is so rare that white men are ever even identify ourselves, even call ourselves white men, even think of ourselves as white men. That means we don't have the opportunity to think of ourselves as being part of a group that can stand in solidarity with everybody else, with black women, with LGBT Americans, with every other group other than white men. Of course, there are LGBT white men. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm so happy to be a part of this. Solidarity is also really important to me, because that's how we won the Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA strikes last year. Was we stood shoulder to shoulder with each other and fought for our own issues and each other's issues, and that's what this election is all about as well. The reason I care so much about this election is because it is very important to the issues that I care about most. We only won that strike. Yes, we won it because of our combined strength, but we also won it because the administration was behind us, because they gave us support from the jump. And more importantly, they put people in positions of power behind the scenes that made it possible for working people to win the kind of victories that we did. Because of this administration, because we have a Democratic administration, we have a pro-labor National Labor Relations Board, so that when, the companies tried to fuck us and, take away our tree cover or, reduce our ability to go on strike, we could go to the government and say, we're going to prosecute them, and we knew we would have a friendly ear. And because there are friendly people, there are antitrust advocates at the FTC and at the Attorney General's office that are fighting against the gigantic monopolies that are destroying our industry. If you look at like what David Zaslav said a little while ago, the big businesses just need to be able to do what they do and consolidate and buy each other. That destroys jobs, that destroys the industry. And right now we have people in power who are fighting against that, and we will not if we don't make the right decision come November. Now, something very important is that, and another reason I'm a really big fan of this event is there's been some reporting recently that some very wealthy business interests would really love the upcoming Harris administration to change some of those pro-labor policies, some of those anti-monopoly policies, and bring in some bigger business policies. And they're trying to make some big donations to try to make that happen. What is so cool about this event is that this is a small dollar donor event. And by raising a lot of money in this event, we can show that the voices of average white dudes matter more than the rich CEO white dudes up at the top who are trying to, who are just trying to keep everything for themselves, right? So that is why I really ask you to smash the donate button as much as anybody else. But my most important call to action for you is that we are told so often in our political culture, and there's a risk of it happening in this event as well. That all that matters from us politically is our vote or our donation. All you can do to help with politics, you can vote and you can, hit the donate button.
You can vote.
Hitting the donate button is very important. Voting is very important. Those are both mandatory.
Money's more important than voting.
Those take away your agency. You are not purely a transaction to be given to someone else's political party. You are a part of democracy itself. I really love that Senator Jones made this point. Democracy is us. That is what I learned when I was part of the strike, is that we made it happen together through beating feet, through walking back and forth on the pavement with signs. And so if you really want to have an effect this election, don't just donate, don't just vote, get the fuck out there and knock on some goddamn doors, especially if you live in Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, any of those places, or an adjoining state. Get out there and actually do some work. That is, and not just for the presidential election, for your local races, go to your city council meetings. Participating in democracy is the most important thing you can possibly do. Of course, after you smash that donate button,
Okay,
please do. Thank
Ryan,
you so
can
much.
we get it up on stream? We got the bullshit bingo. You need to either give them money.
Thank you so much, Adam. We really,
talk
really
to your
appreciate
neighbor.
it.
Well,
I'd make a joke about your remarks, but I'm scared
We
you'll
got
debunk
it started
me. I
now.
also
Every
can't believe
single
I just
one
read
is
that
saying
one.
the same fucking thing.
Y'all, there's still time to get your dude
Add the
hours,
text up on
but
screen. We need a
definitely not the
checklist.
pointy ones.
We need a checklist. It's
Give your
talk to your
dude
neighbor.
cash, sign up your dude friends.
It's give them money.
You can buy a hat.
The order it
on
comes
the-
in as well.
like,
Let's see if we can
hit
get them all
button
in
on
the same
website to go
same
buy
order.
one. I think we've sold over 5,700 so far. Keep donating, please. In the last little bit, we've raised about $200,000. We want to get to at least
made another Ku Klux
400
Klan
before
reference.
we get off the call tonight. And now we're going to hear from our next guest, Tony-nominated actor Rory O'Malley. He is best known for his role as Elder McKinley in the original Broadway cast of Book of Mormon. Rory, thanks for being with us. And also, I just want to say you did a lot of organizing for this call, and I just want to say thank you for being an organizer.
Donate.
Thank you
What's the order?
so much
Donate.
for having me. What's up, my white dudes? Ross, it was my honor to do anything for this call. I want to thank you and everyone who's been a part of it, and all of you who are on the call and who have donated that crazy amount of money. I'm in shock that this has happened. I'm here because I'm a dude. I'm clearly very white. I'm representing the pasty white contingency of the delegation. And I'm voting for Vice President Harris because she is the candidate that stands for justice, for freedom, and the future. She's the embodiment of the backbone of the progressive movement.
Is this one good?
More
Is this
specifically,
guy gay
she's
as
a
well?
Black woman, and Black women have been showing up.
I think I've
to
got the
elect
list.
progressive white dudes
Is
for
this-
generations.
Okay, you got a list ready? Hold on,
And
let me
it's
check.
time we show up for them. So I'm
know
challenging
how to be a
everyone
streamer.
listening to this call. Yes, donate, but please, please,
The private
over
stream.
the next 99 days,
The other stream.
volunteer.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
You volunteering.
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
white
yeah.
Dude.
That's
over
the
next
checklist. Yeah.
99 days will
I see
be
it now on
so,
stream. Yeah.
so powerful. Make sure that these women who have been the backbone of volunteering for progressive causes see your face on phone bank Zooms. They see your face knocking on doors, standing next
They
to
nearly
them,
hit their target though.
having conversations.
Have you noticed that
about
this
Vice President Harris.
progress
They
bar on the
need
right of the screen is
support. It breaks my heart to hear them say that
Is
they are scared
going
that
up
the country
systematically
will
like
not
it's not really
elect
being donated?
a Black woman.
yeah. If you like move the chat for
they
a second, it's
are
got these little
saying
gold
that
stars.
because
It
they
looks
think
really
we
Chinese.
Won't
It
elect
looks like the
a Black
Chinese
woman.
flag.
We need
Yeah,
to stand
we'll
with them. They are always going to be the backbone of the progressive movement. We're not going to change that. But what we can do right now is step up in every way. And honestly, the thing that we can do best right now is donating tonight under the
It's
banner
nice and,
of white dudes.
China
Because
red, isn't
tomorrow
it?
there's going to be a headline.
Don't you
and
think
it's
so?
gonna
Like
say
the
how
red with
much
the
money
little
the white
yellow
dudes
star?
raised
Yeah.
for this campaign.
Yeah.
And
Looks as
that is
calm
the
as it
first
can be.
hint that those women are going to
Maybe
see
I think that's the point
that
though.
we have their back and we
Did
are
he hold on?
not
Which ones? Okay, we've got
going
donate.
back. Please do everything
We've got
you
the
can
whites
over
only.
the next 99 days, starting tonight. Donate, volunteer, and I
Oh,
just have a
volunteer.
little tip for everybody.
Volunteer.
If you have that
Get it
family
on the
member,
list. Get it on the
a lot
list.
of us white dudes do, who are having trouble saying
The
our candidate's
animation just
name
reset itself and then
might
just
in the
added
future
another
have
100K
trouble
on
saying
the
their
top.
name. I
It's
have
a fucking
tutorial.
scam.
It's really easy. You have to say it very
It's not hitting any
slowly. Her
target.
name
It's
is
just tracking the
pronounced
donations.
Madam President. Thank you very much. Donate, volunteer.
Fuck yes. That was awesome. Thank you, Rory.
Fuck yeah, I got the
just
vocal
literally got a
fry.
message as I was coming off
Bro.
mute. We have had over 180,000 people on the Zoom today. So thank you so
180,000
much
people.
to everybody for making this a success. Thank you so much for your generosity. And also just thank you for digging deep and smashing that Act Blue link. We want to make the last part of this call the biggest of the night. Don't forget to grab the most essential man accessory of the season, the White Dudes for Harris
and then
dude
be done
hat.
because
You
I
can do
don't
it at
know how much more I can really handle.
whitemenforharris.com. Our next guest is Tim Daly. He's an actor and the president of the Creative Coalition, where he works to get other artists, producers, writers, and others to be effective advocates for change. And he was the voice of Superman in the animated series.
What?
So
It's going to be disappointing.
to speak to a
Give me
bunch
the
of
guy
dudes
that I
trying
want
to
to
be
see.
super.
Give me the Hawk.
Wow. All right.
David's going to be.
That's Tim Daly.
It's going to be a disappointment. I swear down.
Hi, white dudes, and everybody else on this call, and everybody out there who's watching. Thank you so much for being here. Without further ado, smash. Just
Smash,
get on
white
that button
dudes.
and smash.
Get out there and smash, white dudes.
A couple of things I want to say. One is that the reason that I am so excited about Kamala Harris is that she is intelligent, she has grit, she's funny, she's experienced, she's dedicated to making a system that works for everyone. She's got tenacity, and she happens to be a woman. Which is in some ways the least important part, because all those other qualities make her more qualified than pretty much any candidate for president we've ever had. But it is time to have a woman, because that sensibility is something we've never experienced, and the experience of the white dudes has not always gone so well for us in that office. I played the first gentleman of the United States on TV. And so I think that Doug and Kamala will probably be calling me for a little advice. I'm going to give them a few pro tips when they call. But what I really want to talk about is patriotism, because I get really offended when people say that Democrats or progressives are not patriots. My father, his brother, his sister, his two sisters all served in World War II. My Aunt Mary Ellen was at one time the highest ranking woman in the military. My grandmother Dorothy worked for the CIA. My uncle Dave was an FBI agent, a lifer. And these were progressive Democrats. So for people to say that Democrats are not patriots really goes up my ass a mile. And I think
Patriots
that it's time
believe in
that we
having
start
national borders.
Educating the people that call us un-American, that we are not un-American. We are patriots. We believe in liberty. We believe in freedom. And I think we should also
How's that gonna work if you ain't got
freedom as long as you don't have
I
guns.
admit with shame that sometimes when I see people waving flags or drawing on flags, I think, oh, maybe they're MAGA people. Why do I do that? I want to wave the American flag. I want us all to wave the American flag as we donate
That's funny
money
considering
to this
they were
campaign,
tearing
as
down
we
the American flag,
volunteer
burning
and
it,
walk
and
out
hoisting
there
up the
and get people
Palestinian flag.
registered to vote and convince them that Kamala Harris is the best possible candidate for
We
the
won't talk about
highest
that.
office in our land.
Oh, sorry.
The other thing, and I'll close with this, is that as
You're not allowed
president
to
of the
talk about
Creative Coalition, I have helped.
How many are we on the list with this
instrumental
guy?
in saving my organization, that is, has been
We've got to
instrumental in
donate?
saving the National
You got to
Endowment for the
donate,
Arts
talk to your neighbor,
numerous times.
volunteer.
The first
be
time
gay
we
and
saved the
lame,
National Endowment
whites
for the Arts,
only.
I thought, oh, that's it.
Are
Okay,
we missing
we're
anything?
done. Guess what? The next
No,
year,
that's the list.
budget
Let's
comes
see if we
out
can
and
hit all
someone
of them.
wants to zero out the National Endowment for the Arts, and we have to fight it again. So I would say that as we donate our time to this campaign, and after Kamala wins the presidency, we cannot stop. We got to keep our foot on the gas, because you have to do the same thing over and over.
But they don't
and
believe in
over
fossil
again
fuels, so
to
they can't keep
it
their
from
foot on
going
the gas.
backwards. So after the
On the gas
presidency
pedal
is
of your
won,
EV, fool.
let's continue,
Yeah.
all us
The
white
power
dudes
pedal.
and everyone else, to push for the things that we love, our liberties, our freedoms, and a progressive environment, because time only goes in one
Volunteers
direction, and
coming.
that's forward.
This is going for
As much
volunteer.
as the other party would like to go backwards, it ain't going to happen. But it's up to us to protect our movement in a positive and forward and progressive direction. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Tim. We really appreciate you being on here.
He didn't
and
get
I
through
do
any of it.
hope that you get a call about being a first gentleman on television. Our next speaker is David Hogg, who rose to national prominence as one of the most effective voices against gun violence after the tragic and shocking shootings at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas
Ryan's gonna miss
High
it.
in South Florida. He has since distinguished himself as a fierce advocate for increasing civic participation among young people and is the founder of Leaders We Deserve. David, you're on, and also would love if you want to talk a little bit about Governor Walz as well.
You know, I will.
Here he comes.
Hey, all, I'm so happy to be on here. But tonight, I really want to start out by talking about my
You look
own
so happy,
experience of how I
David.
got started in politics.
I missed the introduction to my.
And it's a
favorite
story
guy.
of learning what
You're
hope
right on
really
time.
means. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a student journalist because I didn't like politicians. I saw all of them as corrupt and sucking in different ways and as being just totally inept. And I wanted to do hit pieces on them effectively. But over the past several years, I've had my
I want to do
own
hit pieces on YouTube.
criticisms and distrust challenged by our own successes. After Parkland happened, many people told us as students, I was 17 years old. Many of my classmates were, 14, 15 years old, that it was terrible what happened to us. The pollsters and pundits would say this over and over. It was terrible what happened to us in Parkland, but Florida will never change gun laws. Things will never get better, and you guys are dumb for even
Damn
trying.
straight.
And we said, okay, watch us. And it wasn't because we were necessarily
This is the
hopeful.
dude
It's
that spent
because
like
it didn't matter.
$75,000
Right? I feel
on
like there's too
DoorDash.
fine of a line between hope and delusion. A lot of the time, hope can feel delusional. In our case, we didn't care what people said was possible. We were going to change the things that people considered possible to make them possible in the first place. So we showed up at our state legislature and we actually raised the age to buy a gun to 21 in Florida. And we passed an extreme risk protection order or red flag law that can disarm people that are risk themselves and others. And people say all the time that criminals
without
don't
due
obey gun
process.
laws, and that's obvious. They're criminals by definition. They don't obey laws. But it's important to note the shooter at my high school was a criminal, but he was not a criminal mastermind. He was a 19-year-old former student who was able to be legally armed with an AR-15 and was able to continue legally owning that weapon despite threatening to shoot at my high school multiple times and being reported to law enforcement, the FBI, and other agencies over and over again. And because of the passage of that law after Parkland, that red flag law that can disarm people that are at risk to themselves or others with the right to due
Without due
process and
process.
counsel, I've seen it impact my own life. My mother got a threat from the NRA, from a supporter of the NRA, that said F with the NRA and you will be DOA. And we used the law that we passed after Parkland to disarm the
today
man
and
that
things
threatened to
never
kill my
happened.
mother. These laws save lives, right? The shooter at my high school, he was a criminal.
They also
He wasn't a
take a
criminal
lot of lives.
mastermind. He didn't have deep connections to the black market or the cartel or anything like that. He was a deranged and racist 19-year-old that wanted to go out and kill students and teachers. And that same
Imagine
law
if there was a
that may have
security
very
guard
well
at
saved
your
my
school
mother's
that had a
life has
gun.
been used over
Imagine.
12,000
Just
times
imagine.
since Parkland. If we did not have the smallest amount of hope that anything could change, if we listened to those critics that said that nothing would be possible, my mother may not be alive today. So we have to hope because lives are on the line. We have to believe that this change is possible. And I've seen
Just
the
imagine.
power of doing that. My family has been impacted in multiple ways by the decisions of the Harris administration, whether that's funding through the American Rescue Plan and other things like that helps to keep my mom employed, who's a teacher, through funds that were allocated through different programs passed under the Biden administration, whether that's through the PACT Act for my dad, who is technically a disabled veteran because of toxic exposure to jet fuel as a helicopter pilot in the Navy. My dad has had Parkinson's disease for the past 13 years, and now is more eligible for healthcare through the expanded VA benefits passed under the PACT Act that the Biden-Harris administration championed. And they passed the first federal gun
The
law
VA
in 30
that's trying to
years
take gun
that has
rights
been used
away
over
from
800
veterans
times
since
to
they
disarm
will not
people that
comply
are
with
to prevent people
the
under
law.
21 from buying guns like the AR-15 that were a known risk to themselves or others. And the challenge a lot of the time that comes with fighting
It's
for
not
gun
just
safety
his family that's
is that we're
cashed
not
in
going to
on
know
the blood of
about the
his
shooting that
classmates.
doesn't
He,
happen. But we do know
Hogg
that we are
himself
making
has
progress
cashed
on
in
this. In the first
tremendously
quarter of this year, we saw the
on the
overall gun homicide
blood
rate
of his
compared to last
classmates.
year
Let's not
go
forget when he
down
had the AI voice
20%.
generation
That's not anywhere
to
near
call
enough,
in
but that was a hell of a lot
and
more progress than we
mimic the
made
voices
under
of
Trump,
students
where
that were killed.
oftentimes it was the opposite
Let's
of
not
that
forget
case.
that.
But we have to continue doing this work, whether it's through the creation of the Office of
The
Gun Violence
DoorDash
Prevention that
bill
was
as
done
well
at the
is
White
insane,
House
isn't
or
it? It's
more.
like
We have
70%
to
of his
continue getting
donations
out there
going is
and
DoorDash
showing
and
up
traveling
and
and
showing that
keeping
gun
a
violence
fancy
prevention,
lawyer on
gun
retainer.
reform is a winning issue, and Kamala Harris has been championing that
Gun
every
reform,
single
what?
time that she's
Yeah,
talked about this,
free
talking
Ivy
about
League
banning assault weapons,
education,
talking
and
about
thinks he
fighting
knows
for
about
stronger gun
guns 'cause
laws.
he was
We
in the
have to get out
Harvard
there and
Gun
show
Club.
that this is a
Well, it's
winning
like I said to
issue
him
because
all the
we
time.
know it is.
He
Just
was in the
recently, last
classroom.
election
He's
cycle,
experienced the
March for Our
need
Lives
for
elected
a
our
hard
first member to
target. Yet
Congress.
he
Congressman
does the
Maxwell
opposite. He
Frost,
thinks
who
the
was our
soft
first
target works.
national organizing
Are we going to
director. I
hit our
literally hired
bullshit
him
list?
from my freshman dorm room in
Has he
college
asked
to
us to
work for March
donate?
for
I
Our
lost track
Lives.
there.
And then he went and ran for Congress. I helped him raise a bunch of money to do that. And then he became the first Gen Z member of Congress and the first member of March for Our Lives. And less than a year after Maxwell was elected, I got to see him introducing the
volunteer,
President
right?
of the United States for the creation of the Office of Gun Violence Prevention that we had been pushing for as an organization for over 3
an office
years.
that intentionally
That
tries
is
to
our
subvert the
hope
law.
of bringing in this new generation. That's why I'm doing the work with Leaders We Deserve now to
That's
help
right,
elect more
guys,
young
on the
people
chat, yeah.
across the country, to
He's
help create more
dancing.
people like Maxwell Frost.
He'll
And that's why I'm
never
so
learn
proud
a new
to be
trick
supporting
because this trick
Kamala
keeps
Harris in her
paying
run.
him
And I
very
also would
well.
love to see Tim Walz there, just because he's a hilarious guy and an incredible speaker, as you all have seen. And because I think really more than anything, if you want the blue wall, that man is the blue wall. He was a teacher for 20 years. He was a vet. He is a veteran. And he's also, it may not look like it, he's 1 year older than Kamala Harris. And I attribute that age difference or that appearance to the fact that he supervised a school lunchroom for 20 years. And I don't know if any of you have ever been a teacher before or had parents that were teachers and worked with them. That is not an easy job, right? So he has the experience, and I think he's one of the most qualified people in the country to be vice president. And I would love to see him out there. And I'm so thankful to be on this call. Thank you to Ross for organizing it. Let's go and get Kamala Harris elected. And let's make sure that we donate. If you can, please donate at the link below to help support this. And thank you again, Ross, and everybody else on here for having me.
He needs some more DoorDash.
Thank you so much, David. You win the award for best hat of the evening.
Best hat.
I also have one. I just haven't been wearing
Yeah,
it.
that
because
was
I
it.
have
It
a
was
sweet
an
man
anticlimax,
bun, and I
then,
wanted to
yeah.
make sure everyone
Well,
could
he
see
didn't say anything
my extremely
new.
sweet man bun. Again, David, really appreciate it. Our next guest leads the Wisconsin Democratic Party. And
go all
as
night.
chair, Ben Wickler's transformed the Wisconsin party apparatus into one of the most effective
I don't know how
organizing
much
bodies
longer
in the entire country.
I can take this.
He
I don't know how
previously
much
served
longer I
as
can
a
take you.
senior advisor to Move On.
It's just
and he has
starting to
been a
become like
good friend for
sadomasochism,
many
you know? It's
years.
like,
Gentlemen, I welcome you, Ben Wickler.
Yeah, I feel like I'm flogging myself.
Thank you so much.
he's
Ross.
lisping
Thank you, everybody
so hard.
on this call.
It
Thanks
looks
to
like
all the
he's got
previous
dipping.
speakers. Holy smokes. I believe I'm the last white dude, not the last dude on the call, but the last white dude on the call. And
Okay,
I'm
is
proud
he gay
to
and
be
lame?
He's the last white dude on the
last
call, huh?
Wisconsinite speaker. Proud to be a member of the Rainbow of Beige, as Bradley Whitford have it, who are here supporting Kamala Harris tonight.
What did that mean?
And
I don't know.
I think
Did you
tonight is
say the
living proof
rainbow
that
and
white dudes
beige?
are
What
not
the
a
fuck is
monolith,
that?
other than a ton of us having something we want to
Don't
say.
wear the
sometimes
merch of
at
the
length,
band you go to see.
sometimes with great passion, sometimes with great vulnerability. But for everyone who's been here for 3 hours, because they know that
Whites
Kamala
only.
Harris has to be our next president
Ticked.
of the United States, I'm so grateful to everybody. I also want to ask everyone watching right now, let's give, wherever you might be, you can clap alone to Ross Morales Ricchetto and the whole crew of mostly, but not all, bearded guys who put this together tonight. And I think we should all take a second to thank Joteka Idi, who launched the Win with Black Women call that kicked off a week ago and led to so many parts of the Democratic coalition coming together: Latino women, Black men, white women, Asian Americans, Native Americans, members of the LGBTQ plus community. So many people, hundreds of thousands of people, have done calls like this over this last week and raised millions of dollars. And fellow white dudes on the call tonight, I'm so glad that even though we are maybe one of the last big communities to do a call like this, we did show up. We did show up, and we have raised tonight already millions of dollars. Now, I am not myself a billionaire, but I'm going to pledge myself to match the next $10 donation that happens on this call. So if someone donates $10 right now, I'm clicking it. All right, boom, done. Someone else out there, if you can match $25, I bet we could together raise more than $70 together in this moment, which would help put us past $3.5 million, which is unbelievable in the course of these 3 hours. I want to share with you that these donations, as small as they might feel when you click that button and then you decide on your tip level for Act Blue, these add up to something extraordinarily powerful.
I needed a screwdriver to put it together, and they didn't have it, so they called the handyman.
Presidential elections have come down to less than 1%.
But they made sure to hire someone
who
speak
Barack
English.
Obama blogs.
I wasn't a handyman.
I would love to see something like that.
And
this
a handyman
year.
wasn't
But 4
available.
of them came down to less than 1 point. And in 2016, that meant Hillary Clinton losing by 22,748 votes. In 2020, Biden won by 20,682. Tonight, we've had more than double the number in the margin of victory from 2016 and 2020 put together, that number of people on this call. The difference between those 2 years, it wasn't just the winner and the number of votes. It was actually hundreds of thousands of votes that were the result of hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of volunteer hours. And let's be real with
Pragmatic
ourselves. Those
action.
hours
Can you do
happened
it?
on the other side of that fight too. There
Stop
are
talking about the
millions of
votes.
people
Talk
who are
about
gonna be
what's going to
working
happen.
to elect Donald Trump and JD Vance. People who saw what they did at the Republican convention, who have been reading about Project 2020, and boy, they really like the sound of that. And a lot of these people, if we knew them in our regular lives, many of us do know many of them in our regular lives, we can have great relationships with them. But we have to be
isn't it called
realistic
Project
that there's gonna be an
2025?
enormous
Yes.
amount of work on the other side.
He doesn't
and there's
even
gonna
know
be a
what it's called.
vast amount of money on the other side. And there's going to be an entire campaign apparatus dedicated to dividing us.
Talk to your neighbor.
To dividing the coalition.
This is
all the
talk to
different
your
folks
neighbor.
that have been on all these different Zooms, to getting us to fear and distrust each other, to getting us to think that if someone on one of the other Zooms got
Oh
something, that
man,
means
if James
we lost
O'Keefe could
something.
come in here
Their playbook
undercover, yeah.
is to make us think that someone else has to lose in order for any of us to win, and to try to get people to push other people down and push them away. And we know there's only one way to defeat it. It is for us to come together. And everyone who's watching this Zoom right now, everyone who's a part of tonight's call or any of these calls, all of us have this extraordinary gift, which is the power to do something to fight against that division, to fight for something better, to fight for a country that benefits all of us, even if we're just doing this for ourselves, not even taking
Volunteer.
solidarity into
Yeah.
account. We have so
Here
much
comes
to
the
gain.
volunteer.
And the kind of country we get to live in, if we do this successfully, the kind of country that lifts all of us up, where all of us are more free, that is something profound and priceless. And we have 99 days to win that kind of future. It's been a long road to this moment.
Oh.
And everyone has their
There you go,
own
guys.
family histories and their own
That's how it's
experiences,
gonna work.
their own lives growing up in politics,
Huh?
and maybe they hate politics for most of their lives. Everyone brings their whole selves to the moment that we're in. But for these next 99 days, let's zero in on the things that we can do to change that outcome, to ensure that this is a victory for Vice President Harris and a defeat for JD Vance and for Donald Trump and for Project 2025 and all the people trying to
Oh, you
rip
got it
this
right
country
that
to
time.
shreds. We have the chance to do this. And in this moment, our dollars matter. Our donations actually make a difference in states like Wisconsin.
No
The
liberal
handful
has
of states
probably
that
even
tip the
looked at
entire
what
country
Project
because of this
2025
ridiculous
is. They
electoral
just
college institution that
know.
dates back to compromises
Someone
over
said
slavery.
Project 2025
We
is
can
bad
actually
and they were
tip the
Democrats,
outcome in
so
the
I gotta
electoral
go with
college
that
by making
line.
these donations. I am making budget decisions with my team every day. We're trying to figure out how many organizers we can hire to help the thousands of volunteers who are raising their hands every week to give them things to do that will help win this election. We're figuring out how many yard signs to print and distribute and barn signs to send out all across our state, how many clipboards to buy and hand warmers when it gets cold, because we'll be knocking through snow as we get to November in Wisconsin. And you'll see the same thing in Minnesota and a bunch of states around here. We have to make these
We need
decisions
hand
based on
warmers
scarce
because we don't know
resources.
what gloves
And when you
are.
donate, it makes those resources a
The
little
fact
bit
that they
less
are
scarce.
looking at
It
these
makes it
really
more
small
possible to
details
say yes to doing things that
makes
we
you
know will
think.
tip the balance in this election and
Well,
unlock a
they
future
really don't
that
have
is
it together,
bright,
do they?
that
No.
embraces all of us and allows all of us to grow and thrive and prevents a future where we shrink.
As a white dude,
And where
I'm
we
embarrassed for white dudes.
fear each other and where we have to retreat and recoil and resist instead of saying yes to the world. We have an opportunity right now to make those donations, to
Was
make
this
that
one
thermometer
a gay
turn
actor?
a beautiful
Or where
red,
did-
and I say that as a
where's
person
this
whose Democratic
on the
Party
gay
is
scale?
represented by blue. We have the opportunity to fill the
I'm not
thermometer
sure, but
right
I'm
now.
gonna rate it
And I want to
somewhere
ask
around
you
like
if you
an
donated once, twice, go for a third time. This is it. And then I want you to find another button on your screen that says volunteer, because your volunteering makes a massive difference. There's a ton of research about how to win
Whoa.
elections. There's a ton of political scientists and social scientists who've been running
we got
randomized
him.
controlled trials. And what they find is that
Yes.
surround sound makes the biggest difference. Hearing from lots of different people, hearing from people that are like yourself. And white dudes, there's a lot of white dudes that need to hear from you about how important it is to vote for Kamala Harris and against Trump and Vance in this election. Your power to influence your peer group, your group chat,
Talk to your
people that you
neighbor,
know, to make a
donate,
case to
volunteer,
people based
begin
on things
name.
that they
Why
already
suddenly?
care about.
We
You know
got the
people that you know
message.
best.
Okay,
You know the
we got
thing
a
that
full
moves them.
full set
You know
here.
the thing that they're concerned about, afraid of, excited about. Connect with them at the level of your shared values and make sure that they
I had
cast
someone
that ballot.
crying at me
And then
about some
click that
Project
button,
2025. So I
volunteer,
asked him
help
what's wrong
this
with it. And he gave
campaign
me some quotes and
win
text
in
like,
the swing states that tip the
they
entire
want to
election.
encourage
Let's win this
traditionalism.
presidential
Yeah,
race. Let's win
exactly.
the Senate fight to
In
get the majority.
2025, I
Let's flip
believe
the U.S. House. Let's flip
there
state
is some things
legislatures. Let's make this
which
a
are a
historic
little bit out
year,
there,
a
like
landslide
removing
year, a
access to
victory for freedom
condoms.
and for democracy,
But
and for
if
building
the
a country
birth
that
rate
lifts
is as
everyone
low
up.
as it is,
That
then
is
maybe
within
that's
all of our
why.
collective power. Us on this Zoom and all the other Zooms, and
Yeah,
even
I
people
mean,
not on
population
Zooms.
collapse
All of
is a
us
real
together,
thing,
we
you know?
have this
If
gift,
that's
this
really
precious moment.
going on, then
Let's
maybe
use
they
it.
know something we don't
Let's use
know.
it. Let's win.
Like we were talking about Deagle.
Thanks so much, Ross. Back to you.
With the Deagle stats, you know,
Ben,
like
you are
the
always
population will
super
decline by
inspiring,
2/3.
always.
Going on
And you know, something that
stats that
everybody
are
has
out
been
there.
saying on this call, or
Is this
almost
the
everyone,
end
is
now?
that we have
Are
99
we gonna
days
wrap it
to
up?
the election. One
I'll be right
thing
back, man.
that you
I'm gonna get a
never
drink.
get back in an
Yeah, no
election
worries.
is time. You can always raise more money. You can go out and recruit volunteers. You cannot go out and get more time. And so, as Ben said, every moment counts right now. It's critical. I'm going to make the second to last ask of the evening. You all have been super generous. I'm going to keep it easy on you and make it fast. We'd love if you bought one of the hats. Please get, and you know, like it all go, you know, like it's going to the Harris campaign. So whitedudesforharris.com, click the hat button. You know, this has just been a real honor, getting to engage with really awesome people here. You know, like I'm not going to congratulate everyone on this call. It should be an expectation that we're all doing this work, but I'm really, really, really grateful that all of you are here tonight. Our final speaker of the evening is Erin. She is the executive director of Showing Up for Racial Justice, organizing majority white communities to undermine the power of the right and bring millions of white people into a multiracial movement. Erin, I'm going to kick it off to you.
Throughout the West.
Hello, my white dudes. I'm Erin, as Ross just said,
Whoa,
and I'm
we
the
got a
director
token
of Showing
woman
Up
now.
for Racial Justice, and I am so excited to be with you all tonight. You know, I grew up and I still live in the heart of the Rust Belt in Buffalo, New York, and I'm from a union family. We were CWA, and I grew up knowing that we had the things we needed in my family because my dad was in the union. Shortly after I was born, the Bills lost the Super Bowl 4 times in a row. And the steel mills closed, Bethlehem Steel closed down, and I saw my city really decimated because of it. And we've been going through some shit here for decades, right? And I've seen firsthand the ways in which MAGA forces have been pulling off my neighbors and family members year after year after year. You know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and that was the era of relentless attacks on organized labor and the birth of the Southern strategy, right? Which was a plan by the Republicans to stoke white as a way to win elections and screw all of us. So I saw this vicious combination, and it's what has led us to this moment, right? Where we've got a couple of Wall Street stooges dressed up as your neighbor saying that they're your savior and Black or brown people are to blame, right? I've seen dudes in my own family sold a sack of lies that racism and white supremacy was going to solve the very real pain and suffering in their lives. And so, yes, I'm here, you know, organizing to help elect Kamala Harris. Yes, to show up for other people, to show up for Black, brown, Indigenous people, to show up for myself as a woman, people who are most under attack. But I'm also here fighting for the white guys in my life and in my family who I know will be better off when Trump and Trumpism is defeated, right? Because Trump and Vance, they know that they need white men silent, they need white men separated, and they need white men feeling antagonistic to multiracial movements in order for them to win. Are you with me? So this is the work of Surge, right? We undermine the power of the right and we bring white communities into multiracial fights for racial, economic, and gender justice and to win elections, which is what we've got to do in these next 99 days. And we do this because we know if the only people talking to white guys are Trump and Vance, of course we're going to lose, right? And so we have to organize in majority white communities, rural communities, working class communities, where the GOP and the right, quite frankly, have kicked our asses, right? But it's easy to get your ass kicked when no one else shows up to the fight. So we're fighting in communities that we know we have to contend with, right? And so like many of you on this call tonight, Surge is showing up, and where we know we fight, we win. We have a really powerful track record moving white voters. We're the largest racial justice organization in US history, organizing in white communities. So we, of course, work to move progressive white people off the sidelines to commit to vote and to taking action. And we go into some of the toughest, reddest turfs and deliver progressive victories. We were the largest outside independent organization campaigning for Andy Beshear, who just won to win his reelection in Kentucky. We won in Mitch McConnell's territory, one of the poorest, whitest, most rural towns, states in the country, right? So we're a home for white people fighting racism, from the city block to the suburban cul-de-sacs to the country hollers. We know in this presidential election, as so many people tonight have said, that Trump and Vance are already being ruthless in their use of racism and misogyny to try to win over white people and white men in particular. And so we have a big plan to contribute to winning and electing Kamala Harris this fall. And we need you to help us execute it. So many people tonight have talked about the need to donate. And if you haven't done that yet, hit that donate button. We want to get it as high as we can tonight. So hit that donate button again. And so many people have talked about how important it is to do direct voter contact and for white dudes to be talking to other white dudes. So we have a big plan. We're organizing 12 million white voters in 6 key battleground states to elect Kamala Harris. Half of those people are white dudes. We need your help talking to them. As Maurice said at the very top of this call, white men
Catching up
silently
on chat here,
disagreeing
yeah.
with the racism and misogyny you're going to hear is not enough. We need people to donate, and we need people to get on doors and talk directly to other white men. So if you haven't yet given, you all love saying that. Smash the donate button. Only the white guys are saying smash the donate button.
Talk
I
to
love
the
it. Smash
neighbors.
the donate
Yes,
button.
in
One more
order.
time. And
Let's
then
get it in order.
I want you to sign up to Canvas with us. This election's going to
Not
be tough, but as
volunteer
I
in
said
order.
at the top, I'm a Bills fan, so I like a challenge, and I have an endless amount of hope. We can totally do this. So after you've given to the campaign, I want you to sign up to contact voters with us. We are contacting white men in Georgia this Wednesday at 6 o'clock Eastern time.
I'm sure they're
And
going
if
to
you
be very
go, it's
receptive.
going to be white men calling other white men in a swing state in
Georgia again.
Georgia. And you can sign up to
They're
participate
really
at
focusing on Georgia. You
whitepeopleforharris.org.
notice that? It's twice now.
Let's get Kamala Harris elected as our president.
Yeah,
Thanks, y'all.
yeah, it's
They think they're going to
Thank you so
swing
much,
Georgia,
Aaron.
huh?
And one thing I will
well,
say
I mean,
to
you have to look at Atlanta.
I'm from the great state of
it
Texas.
could be
I'm
close
actually from
because of Atlanta.
Houston, and
You know, Georgia's where Mr.
you
Beast was
guys
just doing
beat
all
us
that
in the
fuckery.
playoffs one year to go to the Super
Oh,
Bowl.
And it turns out that
I
Mr.
remember listening
Beast,
to
by the way, I
that
have an
game
update on
the
that.
radio
He's owned
with
by
my parents,
Disney.
and I will
It's
never
all been
forget
Disney
the
that's
Lions
doing this.
21
It's
point
behind
lead.
this thing.
So, thank you for the reminder.
So we
of
have
that.
an update on that for
All
everyone
right,
on
everybody.
if you haven't seen already
Thank
on
you
the
so much for being
disgusting
here. This has been
beast
a
of
wild
beasts.
ride the last few days.
No,
we had
no, I
over
haven't seen it.
150,000 people
Okay, he's wrapping
sign
up
up
here.
to be on this call in RSVP. We had
There's been a
over
big leak. There's been a Discord leak of Mr.
190,000
Beast. I
people
don't know
who
if you want to
tuned in
mute him off. You
tonight.
want to get him off here.
I know this is just the beginning.
I can send you a link. We can switch into that quick while we hear the Mr. Beast thing.
Yeah, send
It's
it to me
wild.
on the cord.
Yeah. Sure, dude.
In HQ or something.
Yeah.
Going to get spent trying to smear Vice President Harris and her record and
Got
the
it here for
Democrats'
you, bro.
accomplishments. So right now, we keep giving till it hurts. We have officially raised with our matches and hat sales $4 million. You know what that means?
I
We
mean,
gotta
they're doing
raise
a stream
another
right now
$4
on Fresh and
million.
Fit about it.
We can
Mr. Beast's career
absolutely do
is
it.
over.
I'm going to do my
He
part by
has
giving $1,000, which is
essentially
probably the biggest
been
gift.
exposed. His Discord was leaked on GitHub, all of the messages, and it's weird. It's creepy, guys. It's
Let's,
disgusting. I
let's
mean,
pop over to that. Let's pop over to that because they're done
Yeah.
here. They're done with this whack show of. Wow.
Harbor Freight. So yeah, let's just let this play. This is let's just get into it here with this video.
Oh man.
Like Chris
there's
Tyson,
audio.
which,
Sorry,
you know,
guys.
I don't really like Chris Tyson
That's
either.
my
So to an
fault.
extent, that's understandable. But you also have a lot of people questioning this allegation. Even people who, in my eyes, want to see Chris Tyson go down, being like, I don't think much happened here. So we're going to go into this with a fresh set of eyes and read about what we can find out and determine if Chris Tyson did essay this person. Their name is Muskina, by the way, the name of the accuser. Also, Jess is their name. I don't know. These individuals have like 7 names. So we're down the rabbit hole on this one, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to need to pop a nicotine pouch in my mouth for this. Unfortunately, they're out of Zins everywhere I look, so, you know, F that. For context, Ava and I are both adults and met each other as adults. Ava followed me on Twitter in November of 2022 after seeing my transition timelines on Twitter when I had under 500 followers. And they then show a screenshot of them meeting and Chris asking them how long they've been on HRT. You can see the screenshot here. Jess says, "You're an inspiration and you rock." And Chris says, "Hey, you are too. Thanks so much. Also, you look incredible. How long have you been on HRT?" And Muskina here, Jess says, "Since February, thank you so much." We started messaging each other every day throughout Twitter. She confided in me that she thought my results from HRT were amazing. She was planning on getting on HRT soon to transition herself. As someone who follows online culture, content, and streaming, I was overwhelmed by emotions with being trusted with the secret information that I knew would be huge news. As a transgender woman who publicly transitioned a month earlier, I genuinely could not believe something so amazing had happened in my life after I'd been through so much. And they then show a screenshot of Chris saying that Muskina could potentially appear in a Mr. Beast video. You can see here Muskina saying, "Also, just gonna throw this out there, please let me know if you guys are ever hiring for any type of work. I used to work as a floor manager at the #1 comedy club in Boston." Wow, high esteem there. All right, I'm gonna try not to make jokes, okay? "So I'm comfortable around famous people and celebrity." Stop. "I've worked mostly miserable jobs, sometimes working 70 hours plus a week and still struggling to get by and transition. I've even worked as a chimney sweep, risking my life for 15 bucks an hour. So I mean it when I say it. I will literally do anything you guys ask of me. I'm not sure where you guys are based out of nowadays, but I would drive there tonight for a job if asked. My number is blank." And their phone number is there, I assume. "If you want to reach me, and I have a resume available if you'd like me to send one over." And here Chris says, "I will definitely keep you in mind. We do videos where we need people to compete, so if you don't mind sitting in a circle or something, I'm sure we could figure something out. LMAO!" Exclamation point. Muskina then accuses Chris of love bombing, which for those who don't know, if you do a little reading about it online, is apparently a
Just pause
manipulation
it there 1
tactic that
second,
involves
Ryan.
showering
Yeah.
someone with attention and affection
I just
to
wanna know
influence
what-
them into a position.
What chat thinks of it here is that these guys are, you know, they're changing their gender, the way that they're talking, the way that they're texting and that. Like, how the fuck did this become normal? How did we end up here? Like, why is this
I
what
don't
they
think
do?
it's really
Like,
normal. It's just a very vocal minority that's trying to make it normal.
sometimes I really wonder about like how it can even happen. Like, what I just don't understand the whole culture at the Mr. Beast thing. Mr. Beast's logo is the blue and pink, right? So that's his brand colors. So he's always been kind of like focused on that kind of, you know, boys wear blue, girls wear pink. And then I guess that was the end game of Mr. Beast, is to beast everyone and flip it and invert it for Satan, or, you know, his course. I mean, he might call it something else, but ultimately, yeah, he's just a heathen, you know. It's just, yeah. And he's giving everyone, you know, like they were saying, that he's giving all the money away, but at the end of the day, he's picking the winners. So people were taking time off work, they were changing their lives to do these challenges, and it wasn't even real. He'd already picked the winners.
Yeah,
And where it gets
we
way-
know
way
none of it's
sinister.
real. And there's some, I guess there's some funny things going on allegedly about the money that's involved too, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, they're saying it's a lottery. It was an unlicensed lottery because he was making people, you have to buy something to enter. So it's like, you're meant to be able to enter without purchase, no purchase required, you know? But so he was doing these things, and then they were already picking the winner. They were faking the signatures. There's just so much. And then he went out of his way to say that all the challenges, you know, all of the Squid Game shit he done, all those YouTube videos, they weren't fake. They were real. That's what he keep telling people, is that they were real.
that
It's
they
a
were
real video.
But we know they're not. We now know they're not. None of it.
We got anything in chat? Anyone said anything yet?
No,
I'm just wondering what.
No,
Okay.
they're probably trying to recover their minds after the 3 hours of insanity that we just watched.
I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, how, if it's just something of my you know, being a little bit older maybe than, because I'm out of touch with this. I just don't understand how we get here from when I was of that age. Correct me if I'm wrong. The people involved in that text message we just saw there are in their early 20s. Why aren't they chasing skirt? Or why are they wearing skirts? It just doesn't make sense. Why have they inverted? The guy was already a father, and then he's turned into cross-dressing and then changing his sex. And we don't know if he will actually have surgery yet. We don't know if he actually wants to change or he simply gets off on dressing like a girl.
Sometimes I wonder if it's a fad because there's so many young people that are, you know, identifying this way, I guess you could say. And it seems like there's a lot of them. And is it a fad?
I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either.
I just putting it out there to, you know, I just don't understand how we get here. How do we end up at this destination? Then we hear the link of Mr. Beast is linked via Disney. And it wouldn't be the first time that we see Disney being involved in this kind of stuff, would it? I mean, we've heard about the
gynophilia. It's a kink.
Gynophilia. It's a kink. It's a kink, so it's a fetish. And that's
Yeah, I
what
can
his
see
sister
that.
was saying. He used to wear his sister's. You hear about that? He used to wear his sister's clothes. This Chris guy.
I believe
she was. She was reporting it was like a fetish of his. So, yeah, maybe it is just a kink, and yeah, it's a bit fucked up. But there's maybe not a reason other than that. He just gets off on it, and it's getting way too much focus. And Mr. Beast as a whole, I think, got way too much attention. People believing that he was doing all these things. Is it going to turn out that the philanthropic, I can never say this word, philanthropy was doing the right thing? Yeah, philanthropy. Thank you. Yeah. They were doing it for real, or it was all faked as well, or like, I mean, they did clean up the oceans
Sometimes
a bit.
I have
was
a hard
down
time
with,
believing it's real, you know?
yeah. Well, they're saying that there was like an actor that they brought in. They had this guy move down there that was a YouTuber. I'm pretty new to the whole thing. I knew that Mr. Beast, you know, my son watches Mr. Beast. I won't be watching it anymore. Ain't no way. But yeah, I don't know. You want to press play again or skip forward a little bit there?
Let's hit it.
Yeah.
Position where you can then abuse them, right? She was the first famous person to ever show me that type of attention, and she immediately started love bombing me and making me feel like the most important person in her life. Within the first few weeks of us talking, she told me that she told her therapist about the positive impact I was making on her life, and that she had told her friends about me. She very quickly moved our conversation to Snapchat, and we all know what happens on Snapchat.
Nothing good.
Now, they then show more messages of them talking, including Muskina reassuring them that their hairline would come back once they got on hormone replacement therapy. Wow. But this is where the problems apparently began to arise. Muskina writes, while I was under the impression that she was working on getting me in a video, we started having video chats on Discord. Ava asked me to masturbate with her on video call multiple times, and I always felt like I had to say yes if I wanted to be in a video or given a job. I mean, on one hand, this could be true. You know, there's a complicated relationship between an employer and an employee if they have a relationship, sexual or otherwise. The subservient party can feel like they are obligated to go along with whatever that person tells them, or else they'll lose their job. But this person didn't even have a job yet. They had a prospective job opportunity. So what I'm looking for here is proof that Chris threatened them or pressured them, even in a subtle way. And I haven't found it yet. All I can tell from their story so far is that apparently Chris wanted to do some foul gooning sessions with him over Discord. Not shocked there at all. And they agreed to it. But maybe the proof exists later on. So let's keep reading. We're only at the beginning of a long...
I used to work in adult entertainment. What he's talking about here is like, you know, he's saying like if an employer does something, it kind of does... It's kind of similar area or something that I used to work in, is that, you know, everyone has to take a thing called a 2557, which is the USC 2557 is like you have to get your ID card and everything whenever you're making any adult content. So if you're uploading to a webcam provider, you know, the OnlyFans or something like that, you're going to have to ID yourself and show that you are legitimate to provide such adult services, right? So if there was anything going on like that, right? But Chris is like, what's going on in that sentence he just said before that? They said they was whacking off in front of each other. It's two boys, or what is this? I don't get it.
Two trans people, I think, because they were talking about HRT, so hormone replacement therapy before. So two people that are transition, and then Chris asked this individual to masturbate for them on a Discord video call.
On the Mr. Beast server.
That's the way I understood it.
That's what I wasn't understanding if it was a girl he was talking to or a dude.
I'm not
but like
sure on
either
that part
way, and they're just making that as private content for themselves, or he's saying that they were making adult content. That's what I'm trying to understand. Like, was Mr. Beast also making adult content, or are they just streaming
well, we know
it to
there's a
each
bunch
other on?
of the hentai and stuff that was going on the Discord server. So
Yeah.
who's saying that there's not like more than that, and they're making adult content on the Discord channel, and then wiping the server after the fact?
It's fucking weird. It's fucking creepy. And the dude is a father, and he was doing this where in the timeline? That's the other thing I don't understand. Where in the timeline of things? Whilst he was married to his wife, or prior to the, like? Well, no, it's after he turned into a woman.
Yeah. This is like either during the transition or post. He's already checked out from his family at that point.
So he checks out from his family, and he goes onto Discord to make a minor whack off with him on camera because he thinks that that's like a good idea. That's what he wants to do with his life. And Mr. Beast defends him to Nick Merckx, to lots of people, and says that he's a great dad, and the guy bought high heels for his son. Did you know that this Chris, and the other thing that's really freaking me out is that I was thinking about this when I was driving earlier, is that he changed his name to Ava. Now I don't know if there's other parents in the chat with us, but Dave and Ava is a kid show, right? It's nursery rhymes. It's my son's favorite show when he was growing up, and it's really wholesome, right? It's a super wholesome show about a boy and a girl called Dave and Ava, and it turns my stomach. I tell you, it makes me feel fucking disgusted. If he picked that name from the kid show, if that's why he's picked Ava is his new name, it turns my fucking stomach, man. I'm telling you. If it's from Dave and Ava, the YouTube channel, and I bet it is because it's a very big YouTube channel, it's for infants, it's nursery rhymes. It's like My First Song or whatever, yeah? And it's really wholesome. Like, don't fucking touch this stuff, Don't fucking get in there. This is sacred, And as any parent should know, is that when you rate, if you're, say if you're expecting children and you didn't know it yet, like the world's a pretty fucked up place now. So you want to defend them from everything and have them in a really safe environment. If there's nothing left anymore, they have to draw these crazy cartoons, these weird cartoons, and then they have to pervert themselves like this. So here's the other part of the rant. Now, just throwing it before we will press play, and we'll get ahead with the video in a second. Is that there is a place they hang out as well on Discord, right? I've looked through all the servers on Discord, and there's this massive one called the Dad's Cord. You ever heard of that?
No.
So they got this big old place where they all hang out. It's like hundreds of thousands of users, as far as I recall, or tens of thousands. And if you look in there's millions of voice chats, and they're all hanging out. They're looking for a dad. Now, what the fuck, man? Is this just a slang? I'm so out
is this
of
where
touch.
they're like calling people daddy and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know this was like a legit thing, and it's to be honest, it's kind of disturbing.
It's fucking creepy, man. Now I understand really if that comes from like they don't have a dad, their dad's not around. Like we live in a time of that, but still, it's really weird to have like a dad online. If that's what's going on, I'm creeped out by it, man. I just don't know. I think that's like older people talking with a different demographic.
I've been creeped out about this whole thing since it started, and every day more and more comes out about it. And I still think that we're only seeing the portion of this iceberg that's above the water. I think when we find out, that's what's under the surface here, we're going to see some really, in my opinion, we're going to see some really disturbing things come out of this. That's the way I feel about it.
Hit play. Let's see what this Tom guy's got to say, this Tom Dart.
Statement, okay? On one occasion, she asked me to join a video call and asked me to masturbate even though she knew I wasn't feeling well, which led me to joining her and then puking after a few minutes. Well, Jesus, I did not need that mental image. But just because someone asks you to do something doesn't mean you have to say yes. Like, you can actually say no to something. If someone asks you to have sex, you can say you're feeling under the weather, and then if you do it anyway, that's not sexual assault. That's you having sex despite being sick and then regretting it later. But hey, once again, this is just the beginning, so maybe there is proof that Chris Tyson pressured them. I would love to see that. Our conversations always lean in the direction of affectionate and sexual, and she sent me a lot of sexually explicit Snapchats, messages, photos, and videos. Our relationship.
Why do over 300,000 people love One Wheel?
Of course,
because it's fun. No need to overthink it.
Relationship was very confusing to me, and I didn't fully realize I was being coerced at the time. Okay, so they say they were being coerced 100%. She eventually flew me out to her home in Greenville with a one-way ticket while I was still under the impression that she would be getting me in a video with Mr. Beast. The first night at her house, she told me to set up in her bedroom as I would be sleeping in there with her. I thought this was potentially the beginning of a relationship. When we went to bed together that night, we ended up cuddling and kissing, which led to her taking her clothes off and asking for oral sex from me. I went down on her expecting to engage in sex that would be reciprocated, but when I was done, she made it clear that she did not want to return any favors to me. I was hoping that would not be the case the next time we hooked up, and I believe we would be moving to something more mutual. Over the course of the next week, Ava engaged with me sexually and ended up receiving oral pleasure several times, but she never reciprocated any sexual favors in return when I was done. I was too scared to directly ask for anything in return, and she took advantage of that. Once again, thanks for the traumatizing mental image of Chris Tyson getting head. Amazing. But apart from that, what they're describing here, at least in this particular interaction, is not sexual assault whatsoever. It's a one-sided sexual relationship, and that is not assault. At any point, Muskina could have said, no, I don't want to do that. If Chris Tyson then responded with, no, you will do it or you will not get a job, then that would be wrong, of course, and that would be a clear abuse of that work, relationship, potential relationship, right? But these people were sexual apparently before the prospect of getting a job even happened. And they themselves don't even say that Chris explicitly pressured them or said, hey, you need to do this for me or you won't have a job. They just say they believe it happened and they feel that way. But I have no proof. So how am I supposed to believe this accuser, Muskina, or condemn Chris for this particular situation? I'm having a hard time understanding where the assault is. Now, obviously, we have to acknowledge here that sometimes workplace sexual relationships can have an abuse of power involved, even if that person is not explicitly like, if you do not suck my dick, you will not get a job. Sometimes stuff like that can happen, and I'm going to look for proof of that further on in this allegation. But once again, I don't have any proof of that yet. All I've seen here is that this person was offered a job by Chris, their friend, who was, they were gooning together apparently. They decided to give Chris head at one point because they wanted to, and Chris didn't reciprocate, which made them upset that it was a one-sided thing. And once again, maybe this is just building context for when the actual assault will happen. So let's keep reading. The day she first posted that she was on HRT was also the first week I was there. After making her post, Jimmy called her later that night while Ava was receiving oral from me. Oh my God. She answered the phone and had that conversation with Jimmy while I continued to perform oral on her. I was again now given access to very private information, which made me feel special, something that happened consistently throughout a relationship. Mr. Beast getting a call from Chris while they were getting head. I mean, man, what a mental image once again. But pushing that aside, like, yeah, a relationship or talking to someone will make you feel special, regardless of if there's employment involved, because you now know intimate details about that person. But that does not mean that there was any abuse of that power or their dynamic. It just means you got to know Chris. Chris told you about their life, wanted you to give him head, and you did it, and you wanted him to give you head, and he didn't do it. I'm very open here to the idea that Chris abused the relationship dynamic. We already know Chris blurs boundaries that shouldn't be blurred in other situations, but is this person a victim is the biggest question I must ask. Is this individual accuser a real victim? After almost a week, I was starting to feel really used and confused about everything. While I was there, I found out through conversation between Ava, myself, and her friend that she did not have the ability to cast anyone in a Mr. Beast video. I eventually asked Ava to buy me a ticket home and flew home the next day. Leaving Ava's house was incredibly difficult to process emotionally after that week. I remember trying to hold myself together while traveling so I wouldn't break down in public. When I got home, I spent the rest of the night crying uncontrollably without fully understanding what happened to me. What happened to you? You were willing to give head, and by your own account, apparently at some point you found out that Ava wasn't actually able to specifically cast you the way that you wanted, and that is what made you upset. The fact that you thought that sucking this person's dick would give you a job, and in reality, apparently it didn't. But that seems to never have been an expectation that Chris pushed on you, from what I can tell. Once again, waiting for more evidence. We're going to read this entire thing, so maybe I'm wrong, and I'll have to correct myself in this video, but so far, haven't seen any of that. Without fully understanding what happened to me. You sucked a dick. That's what happened, and you wanted it.
Today, we're going to see if this straight person can survive as
being gay for 24 hours.
And if they can, they'll get $10 million.
Ava and I
just
remain
have
in
to
contact,
suck
but she
Ava's
did not
dick.
show me the same level of attention and affection that she did before I spent a week with her. This is the first time we went through a cycle of her love bombing me, using me, falling for someone else, treating me like I'm an annoying, jealous ex, and then coming back when things didn't work out. Now, if Ava did that, obviously that's not that nice, and realistically, these emotions are fine to feel if you feel used. You know, if you feel like Ava is like, oh, you know, just suck me off, give me head, and then like treating you very nice, and then later on, they're not really reciprocating that kind of attention, that's not a super nice thing to do, but it's not sexual assault. And you also claim here that Chris is holding this job over your head, like if you didn't do what they said, you would not get a job. We have no proof of that happening. You
Hold
don't
the
even
chat
claim
up a
that Chris
little
explicitly
bit.
said anything like that,
Right,
and this is
bro.
all based on how this person claims to feel at
Can
this
you pull the
time.
chat,
Frankly, someone's
like, enlarge
feelings
it just a
without
little bit?
evidence aren't
My
really
eyes,
something that
I can't read it.
necessarily believe in unless I can establish a pattern of behavior, which we are really looking for here. You know, I really don't like Chris Tyson very much. I think the audience, all of you, are probably on board with me on that. But with any specific allegation, I'm still looking for proof that something happened. And here I
Good. Oh, that's so good. It's good. I mean, there's no aftertaste.
don't have it, frankly. And even beyond that, at this point, they say that they themselves didn't even get a job at this point in time after doing sexual stuff with Chris. So where is the assault? Where is the abuse of the power dynamic? The most I can read into, if all of the claims about specific events are true, and I'm giving them a lot of leeway here, is that Chris basically pumped and dumped Muskina. Is that nice? No, but I don't really care. Once again, though, we don't have the full story, so let's keep going. Shortly after that first week, she went on a trip to Japan and invited someone else, but things did not turn out the way she expected.
And I got a phone call. I was invited to a Mr. Beast shoot out in Tokyo. Now, at the time, oh my God, I'll give you context. I was hanging out with someone called Soda at the time that had flown in from the States to meet me.
That's the Jean Hollywood.
Who was another close friend that I had that was in like sort
Giggly
of
goon clown.
the industry. And so we went to Tokyo. We all went. We went shopping and we hung out and we took this selfie. I thought that I was invited pretty much just for fun, but not really, apparently. See, this person in the middle here is called Soda. This year, on my birthday, weirdly enough, I've made this tweet, which has now since been deleted.
Finally going to talk about this because it doesn't involve me and I don't want anyone involved. I invited someone to Japan because I was going through it mentally. My test levels were 650, my E was 250 at the time, so I invited the person I was kind of friends with because they had just started HRT and I also had a crush on them. They asked me if they could bring a friend, and since it was a Mr. Beast video, I said yes because there would be downtime. I met the person maybe 3 times total before I realized they were into each other, and I left because I felt like I had been used for a free date to Japan. It was kind of left as a third wheel. I never talked to them again except to reply on Twitter, because there's one picture of us in the same picture, people call me a file. So they're saying that Finster and Jean Hollywood were like porning. They were doing stuff. Ooh. She was upset and flew back early from her trip, and she also offered me a job as her assistant and offered me to move in with her. I quit my job that month and moved in with her on June 16th and began working that day. I was supposed to start with a 2-week trial. And then they show a screenshot here where they say that they're both looking.
All right, everybody. I am super excited to know more about what's going on with this Mr. Beast situation because we've been following it for a while. But I've been on stream now for about 4 hours. What we're going to do is just kind of hold it up here and take a rain check, and we'll pick this up on the next stream. And I'm sure that we'll have even more information. So I do want to say thank you to all of our chatters. Thanks for being here with us for the stream. It's and sitting through that insanity. Really appreciate you guys. And make sure you go and follow us on X at gun_coyote. And if you have any firearm related questions, Second Amendment questions, shoot us an email over at support@guncoyote.com. And we'll see you on the next stream. And Paul, you have any final words?
Yeah, likewise. Just want to say thanks to everyone for coming along. Thanks for all the chatters. Everyone talking in the chat was interesting to get your feedback. And yeah, and sitting through that thing, it was crazy to watch the Democrats. It really was. And yeah, likewise, the Dave, see, I'm even saying it now, the Dave and Ava, it's fucking Chris Tyson story, the Mr. Beast thing is shocking, alarming. Have no idea really where it's going. But there is a stream going on right now. That's what I want to say, everyone. If you're interested in that topic right now on Fit and Fresh, there's thousands of people watching. They're breaking it down. They're going through the end of Mr. Beast's career. Yeah, apparently it's over. It's done. There's no coming back from this. So yeah,
There's no way to come back from this.
There's no way to come back from the latest Discord leaks. So we'll be back on this tomorrow or whenever there's a next stream. And yeah, thanks everyone for listening and for coming along.
Yeah,
It's
thanks
awesome.
everybody. And we'll see you guys next time. And again, thank you so much for being our viewers. It means a lot to us, more than you possibly can know. And have a good night.